Chapter 150. Chapter 150, The Dongi Tribe Genius. 54969039. Fu Liang felt that something was wrong and sent out scouts to patrol around Dongqiu City, afraid that the Dongi tribe was plotting something. On the fourth day, the Dongi tribe came again. This time, however, the demonic beast army of the Dongi tribe did not attack. Instead, they stopped a few thousand meters away from Dongqiu City. That place was beyond the range of the crossbows. On the city wall, the crowd looked at each other, not knowing what the Dongi tribe was up to. At this moment, a young man from the Dongi tribe rode on a tiger and charged forward for 100 meters. He looked at Dongqiu City and shouted, "There must be many mystical sword sect disciples among you, right? I've heard that the mystical sword sect is one of the 5 major sects of the Blazing Sun Empire, with countless experts and geniuses. I'd like to see it for myself today. I, Bahe, am 19 years old. Now, I officially challenge the geniuses of the mystical sword sect who are under the age of 20. Who wants to fight me?" His voice rolled and spread throughout the entire area. On Dongqiu City, tens of thousands of soldiers were stunned. Instead of attacking the city, the Dongi tribe sent a young man to challenge the genius of the mystical sword sect. What was the meaning of this? Do they want to use this to attack our morale? Fu Liang frowned and pondered. However, he had no choice but to take the Dongi tribe's attack. The Dongi tribe was only a small tribe with a population of a few million. Compared to the Burning Sun Empire, they were many times worse. A small clan had sent a young man to challenge a genius from the mystical sword sect, one of the 5 major sects of the Blazing Sun Empire. If the Eastern barbarian tribe refused to accept the challenge, they would definitely say that the mystical sword sect was afraid of them. This would definitely affect their morale. "Young heroes, does any one of you want to fight?" Fu Liang said to the mystical sword sect disciples. "You can fight, but be careful of traps." Many of the mystical sword sect disciples hesitated. If they left the city and the other party attacked them, wouldn't they die an unjust death? The Dongi tribe seemed to have guessed what they were thinking. The army of demonic beasts retreated slowly. They didn't stop until they were 10 miles away. With such a long distance, even if they were to attack, it would be enough for the disciples of the mystical sword sect to escape back to East Lacking City. "Fellow junior brothers, which one of you will go up to fight?" A young man in his 20s from the mystical sword sect asked. The other party had clearly stated that he wanted to challenge those below the age of 20, but he had already exceeded his age. Since the other party dares to fight, they must be quite strong. "We can't be careless." Some people were more cautious. "What kind of genius can the Dongi tribe have? It's already impressive that he's reached the 9th grade master realm at the age of 19. Some people were disdainful. A 19-year-old who had reached the 9th grade master realm could be considered a genius even in the mystical sword sect. Most of the people on the bronze ranking were already 18 or 19 years old. Some of the older disciples were even in their 20s. "I think it's better to be cautious. What if the other party is a great martial master?" Someone cautiously said. "I'm at the 1st grade great martial master realm at most. I'll go and fight." In the White Tiger Hall, a tall young man shouted coldly. He jumped down from the city wall and strode towards the Dongi youth Bahe. "It's Duanmu Yunfei. With him, we will most likely win." "That's right. I heard that Duanmu Yunfei almost entered the bronze rank. He is very talented. He is now 20 years old and is already a 1st-level great martial master." The disciples of the mystical sword sect were rather confident in Duanmu Yunfei. Duanmu Yunfei's speed was extremely fast. It did not take long for him to arrive in front of Bahe. "Come down and fight," Duanmu Yunfei coldly shouted. Bahe laughed as he jumped down from the tiger and stood opposite to Duanmu Yunfei. "You go first. Otherwise, you won't have the chance." Bark was very confident. "You're just a barbarian. You're like a bug. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? You're looking for death." Duanmu Yunfei's killing intent flashed. He unsheathed his long sword and instantly stabbed out 3 times. 3 sword lights flashed and disappeared at an astonishing speed. An ordinary 9th grade Master Realm martial artist would not be able to dodge it and would be killed in an instant. The power of the great martial Master Realm was fully displayed in one move. However, his body arched slightly like a fierce tiger. With a step, his body was like lightning and he easily avoided Duanmu Yunfei's sword light. He's so strong. He's definitely reached the great martial Master Realm. The people who were watching the battle on the city wall were shocked. It seemed that although the Dongi tribe was small in number, they still had geniuses. Duanmu Yunfei's eyes glinted when his attack missed. He immediately activated his bloodline power and used his most powerful combat strength. Die. Buzz. And NBSB. Whoosh. 9 consecutive sword strikes. The sword chi was endless as it headed towards He. It's over. His eyes flashed with a fierce light and a thick murderous aura was emitted from his body, like a fierce beast. Buzz. A ray of white light flashed out, like a bright moonlight. That was his blade light, but it was unbelievably fast. Duanmu Yunfei didn't even see it clearly before he felt a cold sensation at his throat. Following that, it was an endless darkness. One blade, he killed Duanmu Yunfei with one blade. How is this possible? On the city wall, everyone was extremely shocked as they saw Duanmu Yunfei's head fly high into the air. I didn't even see clearly when he drew his blade. I didn't see it clearly either. It was too fast. I only saw a flash of light and Duanmu Yunfei was killed. This he is too strong. I can't believe the Dongi tribe has such a genius. The mystical sword sect disciples discussed among themselves. In my opinion, the Dongi tribe came prepared this time. They have sent their top geniuses. Fu Liang frowned and said, "Damn it, if it wasn't for the rule that he's under 20 years old, I'd go and kill him right now." A 3rd grade great martial master realm young man in his 20s said, "I'll go kill him." At this moment, another young man walked out and jumped down the city wall. It's Liu Cheng. He's already reached the peak of the 1st grade great martial master realm. It's said that he's been bitterly cultivating a black grade low-level martial arts technique during this period of time, and I reckon that he's already somewhat proficient in it. I wonder if he'll be able to put up a fight with the other party. If his black grade low-level martial arts skill is cultivated to the 2nd stage or above, he should be able to fight. Below, Liu Cheng quickly arrived in front of Bo. "Make your move." He still had that calm and composed expression, and in his eyes, there was even a touch of contempt. To be looked down upon by a barbarian of the Eastern barbarian race, Liu Cheng's eyes flashed with killing intent. He unsheathed his sword and turned into a shooting star, striking He. There's definitely a 2nd level to the meteor sword technique, or even more. There's hope. However, before the disciple of the mystical sword sect could finish his sentence, he stopped abruptly. Because he had struck out with his blade, and with a single strike, his head fell to the ground. Liu Cheng was still killed by a single slash. The sound of gasps rang out. How is that possible? How could the Dongi tribe have such a powerful genius? To be able to kill Liu Cheng, who cultivated a profound grade martial skill and was at the peak of the 1st grade great martial master realm, with a single saber strike, how strong is his battle prowess? What's his cultivation level? The disciples of the mystical sword sect were all shocked. They could no longer remain calm. Chapter 151. Chapter 151, Top Genius. 549690339. To possess such powerful battle prowess at the age of 19, he would be considered a peerless genius even in the mystical sword sect. Furthermore, they had no idea how strong the other party was. They only felt that he was unfathomable. Fu Liang frowned. After a while, he said, "If I'm not wrong, he has already reached the peak of the 2nd grade Great Master realm." What? A peak 2nd grade Great Master? Gasps were heard once again. To be able to reach the peak of the 2nd grade Great Martial Master realm at the age of 19, he was far stronger than anyone had imagined. In the mystical sword sect, such a cultivation was already considered to be at the peak. Zhong Muyun, Duanmu Yunyang, and the others were already 18 years old when the great competition of the 4 courtyards took place. This could be considered as the reason why they had deliberately stopped to accumulate their strength. His cultivation speed alone was not much slower than Zhong Muyun and the others. However, Zhong Muyun and the others were the top geniuses of the mystical sword sect. Damn it, the top genius of the mystical sword sect isn't here today. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the right to be so arrogant. Yeah, we were caught off guard. Although some people looked at Lu Ming, they shook their heads. Lu Ming was still in the Master Realm some time ago. Even if he had broken through to the Grandmaster Realm now, he had just broken through. He was most likely not a match for the other party. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Just as he was about to make a move, he spoke. What's wrong? No one else. The mystical sword sect is nothing more than this. How about this? I'll raise the age by 2 years. Anyone below the age of 22 can come and fight me. He laughed, full of contempt. All right, 22 years old. That's what you said. The young man who was over 20 years old shouted and jumped down, rushing toward the other party. Haha, senior brother Lu Tian has made his move. This time, the other party is dead for sure. He's overconfident. He actually raised his age by 2 years. Senior brother Lu Tian just so happens to be 22 years old, and his cultivation has already reached the 3rd grade Great Martial Master Realm. He's more than enough to crush him. Moreover, senior brother Lu Tian was once on the bronze ranking. The other party is courting death. He killed 2 of our people in a row and is already cocky. The disciples of the mystical sword sect all smiled. However, Lu Ming frowned. He did not know why, but he felt that it was not that simple. Lu Tian quickly arrived in front of He. You're just a mere barbarian. You've killed 2 of my mystical sword sect's disciples. You deserve to die. I'll send you on your way now. Lu Tian's eyes were extremely cold. He smiled faintly and said in a disdainful tone, the 2 people before me said the same thing. But they couldn't even block one of my blades. Don't compare me to them. Die. Lu Tian shouted coldly, and his aura burst forth. His 3rd grade Great Martial Master aura formed a powerful pressure that crushed toward his opponent. However, he just smiled faintly, with a trace of ridicule on the corner of his mouth, as if there was no pressure at all. Headwind triple slash. Lu Tian suddenly shouted as he unsheathed his battle saber. A terrifying saber light soared into the sky, forming a battle saber that was dozens of meters long. It slashed towards He. Good, black grade low-level martial arts techniques 4th stage. Fu Liang cheered loudly and thought to himself, as expected of a genius from the mystical sword sect. A 3rd grade Great Martial Master can cultivate a black grade low-level martial arts technique to the 4th stage. An ordinary martial artist, at the 3rd grade Great Martial Master Realm, might not even be able to cultivate a black grade low-level martial arts technique. Even he, who had bitterly cultivated a black grade low-level martial arts technique for several decades, was only at the 4th stage. Interesting. He smiled slightly, and the blade was unsheathed again. Whoosh. The saber light tore through the air and slashed toward Lu Tian's head. This move is useless against me. Lu Tian let out a long howl. His true qi burst forth, forming 2 battle sabers in front of him. He then slashed forward. Bang bang. The battle saber condensed from true qi was shattered, but Lu Tian managed to buy himself some time. The battle saber in his hand cut through the air and slashed at his opponent's head. He stomped his feet and his figure retreated dozens of meters. Good. Senior brother Lu Tian is mighty. The disciples of the mystical sword sect shouted. They were naturally excited that a mystical sword sect disciple had finally gained the upper hand. Haha, it seems like you have some ability, unlike those trash just now. In that case, I'll be more serious too. He suddenly laughed. Be more serious and arrogant. You're clearly at a disadvantage, but you want to save your face. I was just too full of myself earlier. Senior brother Lu Tian, kill him. Let these Eastern barbarians see the power of our mystical sword sect. Kill him. The disciples of the mystical sword sect shouted. However, Lu Tian couldn't smile at all. This was because the moment he spoke seriously, he felt a powerful and sinister aura enveloping him. As soon as he was enveloped by this aura, Lu Tian felt his entire body turn cold, a chill rising from the bottom of his heart. To be able to force me to use my true abilities, you can die without regrets. He licked his lips, and a blood-red light flashed in his eyes. Then, a thick black true energy emerged from his body. Purgatory blade technique. He shouted loudly and slashed out with his blade. At this moment, the wind and clouds gathered and the black true chi on his body gathered together with the blade light, vaguely forming an evil ghost. It was as if an evil ghost had slashed out with a blade. You! Lu Tian was shocked. With an angry roar, he activated his bloodline and used his strongest combat strength. Meteor destruction. Buzz! Buzz! The two blade lights met in the air, and with a loud bang, the blade light shot out. Bang! A figure retreated quickly. It was Lu Tian. His face was pale and he coughed up a large amount of blood. His eyes were filled with shock. After he retreated, he turned around and ran. He didn't dare to fight. It's too late for you to leave. A cold voice rang out, and a black saber light streaked across the void, slashing toward Lu Tian. Save me! Lu Tian shouted, but it was to no avail. Poochie! His head fell to the ground, and blood splattered. Lu Tian, a third-grade Great Martial Master and once on the bronze ranking, had been killed by someone with a lower cultivation base, and by a small clan like the Dongi. How is that possible? How is that possible? The disciples of the mystical sword sect found it hard to accept this fact. How could the Dongi tribe have such a powerful genius? This wasn't a simple battle of surpassing one's level. One had to know that Lu Tian himself was a genius, an expert of the same level, not an ordinary third-grade Great Martial Master. But he was killed by the other party. The opponent's cultivation method is very special. It doesn't seem to be the cultivation method of the Dongi tribe. Fu Liang suddenly said. Are you saying that he is not from the Dongi tribe? A mystical sword sect disciple asked. I don't know. Maybe the Dongi people have had some fortuitous encounter. Fu Liang said. Haha, what genius. They're all trash. Is there anyone else who wants to fight me? His entire body was filled with black shen qi, his eyes were like lightning, and his aura was like a rainbow. No one made a sound. At first, I thought that the mystical sword sect would have some amazing genius. That was why he set the age limit. Now, it seemed that there was no need for that. A little blazing sun emperor. No, the mystical sword sect doesn't have any geniuses. He said disdainfully. Chapter 152. Chapter 152, Lu Ming takes action. 54969039. Lu Ming's expression changed. From his words, he could tell something. Bark had clearly said a small burning sun empire, but before he could finish, he had moved away. This was very strange. If he was from the Dongi tribe, he would never say this. Could it be that he was not from the Dongi tribe? He wasn't even from the Burning Sun Empire. But if he wasn't from the Burning Sun Empire, what was he doing with the Dongi tribe? Lu Ming's thoughts were flying. The people from the mystical sword sect all had unsightly expressions on their faces. For a moment, no one else stepped up to fight. There were a few fourth-grade Great Martial Master realm experts present, but they were all rather old, far older than 22 years old. If they were to fight, they would become a joke. The soldiers on the city wall were also silent. In their eyes, the mystical sword sect was a holy land of martial arts where experts were as common as clouds. But now, a genius from the mystical sword sect was being suppressed by a young man from the Dongi tribe. This was a huge blow to their confidence, and their morale plummeted. Fu Liang's eyes were filled with anxiety. It would not be good if this continued. Report. Suddenly, a soldier came to report. What is it? Fu Liang asked. City Lord, we have made a major discovery. The Dongi tribe has sent out a group of people. They are 1,000 miles south of Dongqiu City and are heading towards Nine Demon Mountain. The soldier reported. What? Could it be that the Dongi people are here under false pretense and have sent an army to attack the other cities? How many people did the Dongi tribe send? Fu Liang was shocked and quickly asked. Not many, I think there are only a few hundred. The soldier replied. Hundreds of people? Fu Liang was stunned. What was the use of hundreds of people? City Lord, it is said that these hundreds of people are all strong, and the worst is a high-level martial master. What? Fu Liang was shocked and frowned. The disciples of the mystical sword sect were also puzzled. The Dongi tribe must have a purpose for doing this. We must stop them. One of the mystical sword sect disciples said. That's right, but the other side is a master. I guess there are many great martial masters. If we want to stop them, we can only rely on you young heroes. Fu Liang cupped his fists and said. No problem. The mystical sword sect disciple nodded. However, we have to get rid of that young man. Otherwise, it will be a huge blow to our morale. If the other party attacks with all their might, we will be at a disadvantage. Fu Liang sighed. The people from the mystical sword sect frowned again. The other party is deliberately delaying our time. Something big must have happened there. We have to hurry over. Someone said. I'll go. Suddenly, a voice was heard. Everyone couldn't help but forget the past. Lu Ming. Everyone was stunned. Lu Ming. He was going to make a move. Did he really break through to the Great Martial Master realm? Even if I've broken through to the Great Martial Master realm, I'm still no match for him. He's a peak second-grade Great Martial Master, and he's obviously a top genius. There might be hope. A few days ago, I saw Lu Ming send Du Feng flying with one punch. Just let him try. When the mystical sword sect disciples saw that it was Lu Ming who spoke, they could not help but whisper among themselves. Lu Ming ignored him and stepped forward. Senior brother Lu Ming, be careful. Pang Shi called out from behind. Lu Ming smiled and leaped off the city wall. Among the mystical sword sect disciples, there was a pair of resentful eyes glaring at Lu Ming. It was Du Feng. That day, he was injured by a punch and became a laughingstock. He was humiliated and resented Lu Ming. Just a moment ago, he had been mentioned by others. At this moment, he was roaring in his heart. Ha ha, Lu Ming, go to hell. You think you're a genius? Do you think you're more powerful than Lu Tian? It's good that you've been killed, you arrogant fellow. Beside him, the triangular-eyed young man also had a look of resentment. The few of them squeezed forward desperately, wanting to see Lu Ming being killed by He with their own eyes. Lu Ming's body was as light as a swallow. It did not take long for him to arrive in front of He. Ha ha, I beat up the older one, and now an even younger one has come. Kid, since you're here, I won't show any mercy with my saber. At the sight of Lu Ming's age, he was slightly stunned. Then, he revealed a mocking look. You're not from the Burning Sun Empire, are you? Lu Ming did not answer the question, but his expression changed. Speak, what are you doing here? Also, what is the purpose of the Dongi people going to the Nine Demon Mountain? Lu Ming continued to ask. His face changed several times and he sneered, you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, it's useless even if you know, because you're going to die soon. Then why aren't you making a move? I know you're just trying to stall for time, but I don't have that much time to waste with you. With that, the storage ring on Lu Ming's finger glowed and the fire tongue spear appeared in his hand. His aura also burst out. First grade Great Martial Master realm? Ha ha ha, a first grade Great Martial Master dares to come and court death. You're too naive. He looked at Lu Ming's cultivation and laughed hysterically. He laughed so hard that he almost cried. On the city wall, Fu Liang kept shaking his head. Previously, when he looked at Lu Ming's age, he already felt that something was wrong. He was too young. Now, he saw that Lu Ming's cultivation was at the first grade Great Martial Master realm. Although it was already very shocking to have such cultivation at this age, he was still a first-grade Great Martial Master after all. How could he be his opponent? Young hero, come back quickly. We'll think of another way. Fu Liang shouted. Lu Ming was so young and he had such a cultivation. He was definitely a top genius in the mystical sword sect. If he were to die here, he was afraid that the mystical sword sect would blame him. City Lord Fu, don't worry. Our junior brother Lu Ming is very powerful. He's a peerless genius. Who knows, he might be able to kill He. Du Feng laughed in a strange manner. However, everyone could hear the gloating and mocking tone in his voice. Haha, since you've come down, how can you leave? His saber was unsheathed. A cold killing intent surged from his body and enveloped Lu Ming. Nonsense. Lu Ming berated. He could not be bothered to say more and swept his long spear out. I'll kill you with a single slash. His voice was cold and the gleam of the blade was even colder. It was as fast as lightning as it slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Accurately, the saber slashed at Lu Ming's neck. However, at this moment, he was shocked because it was only a shadow. Not good. He let out a low roar, and black true chi burst out from his body. He pushed off with his feet and rushed forward without hesitation. Whoosh! A spearlight pierced his ear, and the cold spearlight left a bloody mark on his face. Buzz! Buzz! He continued to run forward for dozens of meters before he dared to stop. He suddenly turned around and slashed, but it was all in vain. Lu Ming was standing tens of meters behind him, looking at him with a smile. Hey, why are you slashing at the air? Lu Ming said with a smile. His face suddenly turned red, and his eyes burst out with cold killing intent. Your movement technique is not bad, but do you think you can defeat me with just one movement technique? In your dreams. He growled. The black shen chi on his body became even thicker, faintly condensing into an evil ghost, and the killing intent was as cold as the glacier of the North Pole. Chapter 153. Chapter 153, Heading to the Nine Demon Mountain. 5496903339, Purgatory Blade Technique, Kill. He roared. The saber radiance tore through the air and was extremely sharp as it headed toward Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming's body exploded with a scorching and explosive aura. The power of fire. As soon as the force of the fire was released, it instantly destroyed his cold killing intent. Force. His pupils contracted sharply, and his eyes flashed with horror. He had never expected that Lu Ming would be able to comprehend the control force at such a young age. So what if he has comprehended the astral force? His only at the first grade Great Martial Master realm, and even if he comprehended the stellar energy, he's still no match for me. His eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. He was also a genius, and he could even cross a realm and kill a third-grade Great Martial Master. His combat strength was infinitely close to a fourth-grade Great Martial Master, and he didn't believe that he wasn't a match for a first-grade Great Martial Master. The saber slashed out even more fiercely. This is a good time to test my current combat strength. Mountain crash. Lu Ming took a step forward and swept his long spear from the bottom to the top. Clang. The saber and spear clashed, creating a deafening roar. The terrifying force surged and swept in all directions. One could see that the ground under Lu Ming and his feet exploded, creating a huge pit with a radius of 10 meters and a depth of 2 meters. Boom. Then, a figure quickly retreated. It was He staggered back more than 20 meters, his face full of shock. One move. With just one move, he felt that the essential chi on Lu Ming's body was like a storm. It was endless, indestructible, and extremely condensed. He was cultivating a black-grade upper-level cultivation technique. The density of his essential chi far exceeded that of yellow-grade cultivation techniques. However, compared to Lu Ming's essential chi, it was trash. He was completely crushed. How can he be this strong? This kind of strength is already comparable to a fourth-grade Great Master realm. He roared in his heart. There was a small divide between the third and fourth grade Great Martial Master realm, and the difference was huge. He was shocked, but the people on the city wall were even more shocked. Their mouths were so wide open that a duck's egg could be stuffed in. This young hero Lu Ming? Was he really only 16 years old? Is he really only a first-grade Great Martial Master? Fu Liang's determined old face was filled with shock. He had experienced countless life and death battles in his life, but he had never been so shocked. City Lord Fu, speaking of which, isn't our junior brother Lu Ming a legendary figure in the mystical sword sect? He entered the school last year, and in his first year, he already ranked first on the bronze list. An older Vermilion Bird Hall disciple explained with a proud expression. He joined last year? He's ranked first on the bronze rank in his first year? Fu Liang repeated, even more shocked. At the side, Du Feng and the triangular-eyed young man's eyes almost popped out. They stared at the city wall and thought that their eyes were playing tricks on them. Ha ha ha. Pang Shi grinned. What are you waiting for? Continue. Lu Ming laughed lightly and rushed towards Ba He. Purgatory blade technique, purgatory on earth. Ba He bellowed in rage and exploded with all his strength. Whatever bloodline, potential, all of them exploded and charged towards Lu Ming. Broken armor. The long spear stabbed out like lightning. Clang. Ba He retreated again. Boom. Boom. After that, the two of them exchanged more than a dozen moves, leaving more than a dozen large pits in the open space. Ba He was completely at a disadvantage, his face was pale, his body was trembling, and blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth. It's time to end this, Lu Ming said softly. He already had a rough idea of his current combat power. If he didn't activate his bloodline, he could probably fight with an ordinary 4th grade Great Martial Master. If he activated his bloodline, killing him shouldn't be a problem. At the Great Martial Master realm, it was absolutely shocking to be able to cross 3 levels and kill an opponent. Boom. There was a flash of blood-red light and his blood meridian exploded. Lu Ming's strength increased greatly. Whoosh. The long spear turned into a ray of light, and it was much faster than before. Poochie. The long spear pierced through Bark's heart. Aye. The small burning sun empire. Ba His eyes were wide open in disbelief, then he stopped breathing. Poochie. He pulled out the long spear. The body of the spear shook and blood spurted out. Not a single drop of blood was left on the tip of the spear. The devouring power emerged from his palm and Ba His blood essence was devoured by him. Then, he began to refine it. As he was refining, he looked at the Dongi army. He pointed his spear at the Dongi army, and his voice could be heard from afar. Who else wants to fight? Mighty, mighty. On the city walls, the tens of thousands of soldiers roared, their voices shaking the heavens. In the distance, the Dongi army was in a panic. Then they turned around and retreated. The Dongi tribe retreated and Lu Ming returned to the city wall. Haha, Hero Lu Ming is really a peerless genius. I've never seen him before. Fu Liang sighed. Many thanks for the city lord's praise, I was just lucky. Lu Ming said humbly and said, let's organize our men and head to the 9-Demon Mountain. That's right. Young heroes, who is willing to go? There are a few soaring eagles in the camp that can take you there quickly. Fu Liang asked. This time, those above the Great Martial Master realm will go, and those below the Great Martial Master realm will stay here to guard. A 4th grade Great Master realm expert said. Everyone nodded, no one had any objections. Very quickly, 5 gigantic soaring eagles took to the skies from Dongqiu City and headed towards 9-Demon Mountain. Most of the mystical sword sect's 100 or so Great Martial Master disciples had gone. Lu Ming was naturally among them. 5 4th grade Great Martial Master realm experts were gathered on the largest soaring eagle in the middle. They were all 4th grade Great Martial Master realm experts from the mystical sword sect. The White Tiger Hall had 2 while the other 3 halls had 1 each. Of course, Lu Ming was one of them. After this battle, they had already regarded Lu Ming as a 4th grade Grandmaster. The 5 4th grade Grandmaster realm cultivators, including Lu Ming, gathered together to discuss. Everyone, I suggest that we should all be united against the external forces. Let's put aside the grudges between the 4 great academies for the time being. What do you think? The 4th grade Grandmaster realm expert from the Vermilion Bird Hall, who was about 25 years old, suggested. I have no objections. I don't have any either. The Azure Dragon Hall and the Onyx Tortoise Hall's 4th grade Great Martial Master realm experts nodded. The 2 4th grade Great Martial Master realm experts from the White Tiger Hall glanced at Lu Ming and exchanged a glance. They then nodded and said, we have no objections either. I don't have any either. Lu Ming nodded with a smile. He did not mind. If the people from the White Tiger Hall wanted to target him, he would not mind teaching them a painful lesson. That's good. This time, the Dongi tribe and people who are suspected to be not from the Dongi tribe are involved in this matter. In my opinion, the 9 Demons Mountain must be up to something. No matter what, we must stop it. The Dongi tribe has limited masters. Our strength should be enough. Chen Quan analyzed. Everyone nodded. The soaring eagle whistled through the air and soon arrived at the destination. Chapter 154. Chapter 154. Chapter 154 Intense Battle. 5496903339. Very quickly, the 9 Demon Mountain was in sight. The 9 Demon Mountain was more than 3,000 meters high. It was covered with strange rocks, and among them, there were 9 huge rocks, each of which was 50 to 60 meters high and shaped like a demon beast. That was why it was called the 9 Demon Mountain. At this moment, under a huge rock shaped like a tiger, there were more than 200 people gathered. There were both men and women, most of them middle-aged men or women. The man was bare-chested and the woman was wrapped in animal skin. One look and one could tell they were from the Dongi tribe. A few Dongi elders were surrounding the tiger-shaped stone and smearing blood on it. It's the Dongi people. They are inscribing inscriptions. Chen Quan shouted. Charge down and stop them. Gah! The Gale Eagle let out a long cry and rushed towards the Dongi people. It's the disciples of the mystical sword sect. Kill them. We can't let them ruin our grand plan to open the ancestral ruins. Kill. We, the Dongi tribe, once ruled the Burning Sun Empire. We were extremely powerful. As long as we get the treasures in the ancestral relic, we will rise again and rule the Burning Sun Empire. Loud roars were accompanied by sharp arrows. And NBSB, whoosh. Hundreds of arrows streaked across the sky, flying towards the 5 Windwalk Eagles. Stop them. The mystical sword sect's disciples slashed out sword chi, saber radiance, and fist force to block the incoming arrows. However, these arrows were shot by martial arts masters, and most of them were Grandmaster Realm Masters. They were imbued with powerful true chi, and although everyone tried their best to block them, many arrows still pierced through their defenses. Many arrows hit the Windwalk Eagle. Not good. The mystical sword sect disciple's expression changed drastically. He could only jump off the Windwalk Eagle and use the light body technique to descend. However, this would make him a target for the other party. Kill. The Dongi people roared out and sent out another wave of arrows. The mystical sword sect disciples bellowed as they resisted with all their might. However, he was in the air and could not borrow any strength. He could only explode his true chi and block it head-on. Ah! Ah! Arg! 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 Screams rang out. 5 or 6 disciples with weaker cultivation were shot through the body, heart, and other parts of their bodies. They fell to the ground while screaming. Buzz! And NBSB, whoosh! At this moment, Lu Ming's high air step revealed its mysterious power. His feet stepped on the air as if he was stepping on a physical object. A force was produced and Lu Ming's figure fluttered, dodging several arrows. However, he had only cultivated it to the 3rd level and could not last long. But it was enough. With a few leaps, Lu Ming charged straight at the Dongi tribe. Whoosh! Whoosh! Another wave of arrows shot over like meteors chasing after the moon. The arrows pierced through the air with a sharp and terrifying whistling sound. LNU! Lu Ming's long spear swept across and more than 10 arrows in front of him were swept away. What powerful strength! Lu Ming felt a slight numbness in his wrist. A few more screams came from the sky. A few more people from the mystical sword sect had been shot. However, they were already close to the Dongi people. Kill! Kill all these Eastern Wasteland barbarians! The disciples of the mystical sword sect bellowed and launched powerful attacks. The Dongi people put away their bows and arrows, pulled out their sabers, and slashed out a pale blade light. Boom! Boom! With a series of explosions, the disciples of the mystical sword sect used the force of their fall to offset the force of their fall. They landed on the ground and began to fight with the Dongi experts. He had to admit that the Dongi tribe had sent quite a number of powerful cultivators this time. At least 100 of them were at the level of great martial masters. The others were also high-level martial masters. However, the disciples of the mystical sword sect were disciples of a large sect, after all. Their combat strength was still higher than ordinary people. For a moment, the battle was in a stalemate. "You guys hold on, the ancestral ruins are about to open." An Eastern barbarian old man shouted. "Kill." The battle between the two sides was extremely intense. There were 6 or 7 4th-grade Great Martial Master realm experts in the Dongi tribe. Chen Quan and the others were completely entangled. Clang! Lu Ming's long spear swept out and 3 Dongi men, who were 7th-grade Master Realm and above, were sent flying. Their bones were broken and they were no longer breathing. "Little bastard, you're looking for death." A Dongi man in his 50s slashed at Lu Ming. Landslide. Lu Ming swept his long spear out and exchanged a blow with the other party. The two of them were forced to retreat. 4th-grade Great Master Realm. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The other party was even more shocked. He saw that Lu Ming was only a 1st-grade Great Martial Master and thought that he would be able to deal with him with one slash. He did not expect that they would be evenly matched with one move. Genius, the mystical sword sect's peerless genius. Good, killing such a genius is enough to make the mystical sword sect's heart ache. The burly man licked his lips as a brutal look flashed in his eyes. Kai Kai. The Dongi man slashed more than 10 times in a row. The pale blade light covered Lu Ming's vital parts. Fire dance. With a flash of the spear, flame flowers appeared, beautiful yet dangerous. Bang! Bang! A series of rapid explosions rang out, and the flower of flames dissipated. The opponent's blade light was also destroyed. Lightning. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming's long spear was like lightning, piercing towards the other party's throat. Who? The saber in his opponent's hand began to spin, turning into a snow-white full moon formed by the saber light. Lu Ming's long spear was thrust forward, but it was blocked with a clang. Hunter's 18 strikes. The Dongi tribe man charged at Lu Ming again. Lu Ming also charged forward with his spear. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. Gradually, Lu Ming gained the upper hand. Lu Ming had the momentum of fire. With the addition of the flaming gun technique, his attacks were like volcanic eruptions. Coupled with his extremely condensed essential chi, he was extremely violent. His opponent was only at the early stage of the 4th-grade Grandmaster realm and he was gradually losing. Buzz. At this moment, the giant stone in the shape of a tiger suddenly emitted a bright light. "Ha ha, the ancestral ruins have opened." An old man laughed. The tiger-shaped stone glowed brightly and slowly formed a huge light door that was 10 meters tall and 3 meters wide. "Kill them all, then we'll head to the ruins." The Dongi elders, who had been smearing the blood of demonic beasts, roared. They released powerful auras and pounced on the disciples of the mystical sword sect. Among the 5 people, 2 of them were actually 5th-grade Great Martial Masters, while the other 3 were 4th-grade Great Martial Masters. Once they joined the battle, the mystical sword sect was immediately at a disadvantage. In just a few breaths, 5 to 6 mystical sword sect disciples had been killed. "Charge, charge towards that light," Lu Ming suddenly shouted. Since he couldn't beat them, he might as well rush towards the things that the other party valued. Perhaps there might be a chance for a turnaround. "Right, charge." The disciples of the mystical sword sect roared as they charged toward the door of light. "Damn it, stop them." As expected, the Dongi people were panicking. They shouted and tried their best to stop the disciples of the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming also abandoned his opponent and rushed toward the light door. Chapter 155. Chapter 155, Rushing into the Ruins. 5496903339, stop right there. The Dongi tribe man roared and chased after Lu Ming. "I'll send you on your way." Lu Ming, who was running at full speed ahead, suddenly stopped and thrust his spear at the Dongi man. This was extremely sudden. The other party initially thought that Lu Ming wanted to rush towards the light door with all his might. He did not expect that he would turn around and attack. In a hurry, he slashed out with his saber in an attempt to block. Explode. Lu Ming muttered coldly. He was pretending to run forward just now. What he really wanted to do was to take the opportunity to accumulate power. Boom! A violent energy exploded from the tip of the spear and blasted towards the other party. In his haste, the other party was unable to block it at all and was sent flying backward, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. Lightning. Whoosh. Lu Ming cast the lightning pursuit technique and was even faster when he used it with the mid-air steps. It pierced through the Dongyi man's throat. Devour. Lu Ming controlled his blood meridian and devoured the middle-aged man's blood essence in an instant. The other party was a 4th-grade Great Martial Master, and the essence in his blood essence was extremely rich. It was constantly refined by the spirit-devouring bloodline to replenish the true qi that he had lost from using the explosion technique. Lu Ming did not stop. He ran towards the door of light. At that moment, many mystical sword sect disciples had already rushed in. Stop him. A few 1st and 2nd grade Grandmaster Realm Dongyi experts wanted to stop him, but Lu Ming swept his long spear and they coughed up blood as they were sent flying. After a few breaths, Lu Ming was close to the door of light. Lu Ming, save me. Suddenly, a cry for help came from behind. Lu Ming turned around. It was Du Feng. He was surrounded by a few Dongyi tribe masters. You'd better solar veer it yourself. Lu Ming smiled, turned around and walked towards the light door. Du Feng's desperate roar could be heard from behind. As soon as he stepped into the light door, he felt the world spin around him. When he recovered, Lu Ming found that he was standing on a rocky ground. Behind him was a stone wall. On the stone wall, there was another light door, exactly the same as the previous one. However, the surrounding environment had changed. Kill. A saber ray was aimed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his long spear and blocked the saber ray. All around, there was still the sound of fighting. The disciples of the mystical sword sect rushed in, but so did the masters of the Dongyi tribe. Charge forward. We'll charge into the forest in front of us. As long as we can get into the forest, we won't have to be afraid of them. A 4th-grade Great Martial Master disciple of the mystical sword sect shouted. Let's go, we'll cover the rear. Chen Quan shouted. You want to leave? All of you, stay. The 2 5th-grade Great Martial Master Realm Elders attacked with full force. The 5 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm young men from the mystical sword sect resisted with all their might to buy time for the others. Although the competition between the 4 halls was usually intense, and it was normal for them to fight with each other, they were still disciples of the mystical sword sect. At this moment of life and death, they knew very well that only by working together could they survive. If they fought on their own, they would only die. Boom. 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 The essential qi in Lu Ming's body was surging. The blood essence of the 4th-grade Great Martial Master was being refined continuously, turning into turbulent energy that surged into Lu Ming's body and was constantly transformed into essential qi. The essential qi that Lu Ming had expended when he cast the explosion earlier was recovered in a few breaths. The remaining majestic energy was helping Lu Ming to break through to the next realm. Lu Ming fought while he tried to break through to the next realm. Bang! A 2nd-grade Grandmaster from the Eastern Wasteland was so shocked by Lu Ming that he coughed out blood and almost exploded. At the same time, Lu Ming's body trembled, and his cultivation broke through to the middle of the 1st-grade Great Master realm. The blood essence of a 4th-grade Great Martial Master was too thick. It was equivalent to the blood essence of at least 70 to 81st-grade Great Martial Masters. Lu Ming's cultivation was still rising rapidly. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming waved his long spear, and no one was his match. He rushed toward Chen Quan and the others. Little bastard, I'll kill you. An elder from the Dongyi tribe charged at Lu Ming. He was also a 4th-grade Grandmaster. Boom. However, after exchanging a blow with Lu Ming, he was forced to retreat. So strong. The Dongyi elder was shocked. Explode. Since he had a lot of essential qi in his body, Lu Ming was not afraid of wasting it. He cast another explosion. With the breakthrough of his cultivation, this move was even more powerful. One of the elder's arms was blown off and he was almost killed. He wanted to retreat in fear, but Lu Ming was faster. He stabbed him with his spear and at the same time, He controlled his blood meridian to devour his blood essence. Kill him first. A 5th-grade Grandmaster Elder from the Eastern Wasteland was shocked and furious. He charged toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming used his mid-air step and did not bother with him. In a few flashes, he had rushed to Chen Quan and the rest. Landslide. Lu Ming leaped high into the air and smashed his spear at the other 5th-grade Grandmaster. Boom. There was an earth-shattering explosion. Lu Ming's body was hit and he flew backward. Let's go. After being blocked by Lu Ming, Chen Quan and the rest finally managed to free Them's levers and ran wildly toward the forest in front of them. Lu Ming did not linger in the battle either. He ran towards the forest. Chase, chase. The Dongyi people roared. More than 100 people continued to chase after Lu Ming and the group. In just over 5 minutes, Lu Ming and the rest had arrived at the mountain forest. In the mountain forest, ancient trees towered into the sky, and old vines curled around them. It was incomparably dense, and it was a scene of a primeval forest. The rest of the mystical sword sect disciples had already rushed in. Lu Ming and the rest did not hesitate at all. Buzz, buzz. Running in the dense forest would allow them to hide well, and at the same time, the other party would not be able to form a good encirclement. Detestable. The Dongyi people stopped in front of the forest. The combat strength of the mystical sword sect's disciples was extremely shocking, and they had many tricks up their sleeves. Just now, the 2 5th-grade Great Martial Master Realm experts had joined forces with a few other 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm experts, but they were actually unable to stop the 5 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm young men. They had only managed to injure a few of them. In the end, a 1st-grade Great Martial Master had even killed a 4th-grade Great Martial Master. This had frightened them greatly. It could be said that the strength of the mystical sword sect wasn't much weaker than theirs. If they rushed into the forest, they would most likely be ambushed. Let's not care about them for now. Let's find the treasures left behind by our ancestors and leave this place as soon as possible. We'll hide in the depths of the coastal mountains. Even the mystical sword sect won't be able to do anything to us. A 5th-grade Great Martial Master Elder suggested. All right, let's do that. After their discussion, they left and headed deeper into the forest. In the forest, Lu Ming and the rest were running at high speed. They stopped after running for about 10 miles. It seems that the Dongyi people didn't come after us, Chen Quan said. His face was a little pale. Clearly, he had been injured in the battle just now. The others were not in a good state either. They had also suffered some injuries. After all, the other party had 2 5th-grade Great Martial Master Realm experts. It was already good enough that they could hold them back for a short time. At this moment, the surrounding mystical sword sect disciples slowly gathered around. In the end, only 61 people were left. When they arrived, there were 102 people. Now, there were a total of 41 people missing. Chapter 156. Chapter 156. Chapter 156 Parting Ways. 5496903339. In a single battle, they had actually lost 41 people. After all, these were all Silivra disciples and martial grandmaster experts. Even for a large sect like the mystical sword sect, 41 martial grandmaster experts was a huge loss. Everyone's faces were unusually serious. No one said a word. After waiting for more than 10 minutes and seeing that the Dongyi people didn't chase after them, Chen Quan and the others were relieved. They each found a place to heal. Lu Ming also flew up to a big tree and circulated the true war dragon technique. He put all his effort into refining the blood essence that he had just devoured. He had devoured the blood essence of 2 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm martial artists in a row. The blood essence of 2 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm martial artists was unimaginably rich in energy, equivalent to the blood essence of 151st-grade Great Martial Master Realm martial artists. Such a huge amount of blood essence was not something that could be refined in a short time. And NBSB, hoo-hoo. The spirit-devouring bloodline seemed to be breathing. Every time it breathed, a huge amount of energy would surge into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's cultivation level was increasing rapidly. Peak of the middle stage of the first grade Great Martial Master Realm, late stage of the first grade Great Martial Master Realm. 2 hours later, Lu Ming had refined all the blood essence and converted it into his essential qi. Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the first grade Great Martial Master. This made Lu Ming smile bitterly. This was equivalent to the blood essence of 150 first grade Great Martial Masters. In other words, 150 blood essences of the same level as him wouldn't allow him to break through a level, but only reach the peak of the first grade Great Martial Master realm. The third stage of the True War Dragon technique required far too much energy to raise one's cultivation base. It was dozens of times more than an ordinary person. He really did not know how much energy would be needed to increase his cultivation level after he cultivated to the 4th, 5th, 8th, and 9th levels. At the thought of this, Lu Ming could only smile bitterly. He shook his head and cast these thoughts aside. It was useless to think so far now. Lu Ming stopped and jumped down from the big tree. Junior brother Lu Ming. Chen Quan called out to Lu Ming when he saw him. His complexion was better than before. It was obvious that he was much better after some treatment. Beside him were the 4th grade Great Martial Master Realm experts from the other 3 courtyards. The few of them gathered together and seemed to be discussing something. Lu Ming walked over. What is this place? I heard the Dongi people shouting about the relic of their ancestors. Sun Ruo, a 4th grade Great Martial Master from the Onyx Tortoise Hall, said with a frown. I've read about it in an ancient book. It said that at least 10,000 years ago, the Burning Sun Empire was ruled by the Dongi tribe. Chen Quan said after thinking for a while. What? The Burning Sun Empire was once ruled by the Dongi tribe. The others were all shocked. The Dongi tribe was only a small tribe in the mountains by the sea. Their population was only a few million. How could they rule the vast territory of the Burning Sun Empire? Chen Quan thought for a moment. That's what the ancient records say. It said that the Dongi tribe was very powerful back then. They ruled over not only the Burning Sun Empire but also several other nearby empires. They were extremely powerful. The few of them were very shocked. It was obvious that this was the first time they had heard of such a story. Unfortunately, they fell apart in the end. After 10,000 years, the Dongi tribe declined completely and became a small tribe. Chen Quan sighed. No matter how powerful a force was, it could not withstand the invasion of time and would decline sooner or later. This must be the ruins left behind by the Dongi tribe. The eyes of a young man from the White Tiger Hall lit up. The others were the same. This place was full of mountains, rivers, and forests. It was very likely to be a small plain. It was not difficult to guess that it was probably left behind by the Dongi tribe. Since the Dongi tribe was so powerful, what kind of treasures would be left in the small plain? A fortuitous encounter, a fortuitous encounter. The few of them roared in their hearts as their eyes flickered. My fellow brothers, since the Dongi tribe has not come after us, we are safe for now. I think we should split up. A young man from the White Tiger Hall suggested. I agree. The Azure Dragon Hall's young expert also agreed. If everyone acted together, how would they split the opportunities and treasures they encountered? Everyone naturally had their own plans. All right, then it's decided. In the end, they made up their minds to part ways and look for their own opportunities. Buzz. And NBSB, whoosh. Soon, the disciples of the 4 halls chose their own directions and disappeared into the forest. Junior brother Lu Ming, do you want to join us? Chen Quan looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. It's all right. I'll go alone. Then take care, junior brother Lu. Chen Quan cupped his fists and left with a few people. Very soon, Lu Ming was the only one left. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. He moved and headed out of the forest. Soon, he was out of the forest. He glanced at the footprints on the ground and went in the direction that the Dongi tribe had left in. Since it was a relic left behind by the ancestors of the Dongi tribe, they must know a lot about it. Instead of looking around like a headless fly, it was better to follow the Dongi people and rob them halfway. Lu Ming used the high air steps and his figure flashed past like a gust of wind. His speed was unparalleled. A plane was actually a world, But the laws of heaven and earth in this world were incomplete and imperfect. It had all kinds of flaws, and its area was not very large, so it was called a plane. A plane was divided into small, medium, and large planes according to the size of its area. Right now, this dimension was only a small dimension. However, the small size was only relative to the divine wilderness continent. In fact, this plane was no less than a few thousand miles wide. Lu Ming ran for thousands of miles before he finally heard some movement. The sounds of battle could be heard from ahead. Lu Ming did not stop at all. He headed in the direction of the sound. Not long after, a dilapidated palace appeared in front of Lu Ming. It could be seen that the palace was very large and occupied a large area. However, it had been through too much time and was no longer very dilapidated. Many places had collapsed. At this moment, there was an intense battle at the palace's entrance. A dozen Dongi people were fighting against 8 beasts. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that the Dongi people were all martial grandmaster experts. 2 of them were 4th grade and 4 were 3rd grade grandmaster. However, even with so many experts, they only had a slight advantage against the 8 demonic beasts. That was because the 8 demonic beasts were not normal. The 8 demonic beasts' fur had fallen off, revealing their skinny but metallic muscles. Every demonic beast's eyes were bloodshot. They growled in a low voice and pounced on the Dongi experts without a care for their lives. Sometimes, when the blades of the Dongi people cut on the bodies of the beasts, they would make metal clanging sounds. Chapter 157. Chapter 157, A Box of Secret Manuals. 549690339. These are demonic corpses and demonic puppets refined by our ancestors. They are not afraid of death and only know how to attack. Their bodies are as hard as iron and invulnerable. Their eyes are their only weakness. Attack their eyes. An elder of the Dongi tribe shouted. Kill. Kill. Under the lead of 2 4th grade Great Martial Master Realm Elders, a dozen Dongi experts attacked the eyes of the 8 demonic corpses with all their might. Roar. Not long after, a demonic beast's eyes were shattered. It let out a loud roar and fell down. They found a way. The dozen Dongi warriors worked together and soon defeated the 8 beasts one by one. Let's go in. If I'm not wrong, this must be an important place. An Eastern barbarian old man shouted excitedly. Over 10 Dongi people rushed into the cave excitedly. After the Dongi tribe left, Lu Ming appeared and followed them into the palace. Lu Ming's footsteps landed on the ground without a sound. He followed more than 10 meters behind the Dongi people and held his breath. The other party did not notice him at all. After passing through numerous courtyards, they arrived at a large hall in the middle. From afar, he could see the door of the hall open, revealing the bookshelves in the hall. Haha, this is the library. There must be some secret books here. This is great. There is hope for the revival of the Dongi tribe. An Eastern barbarian old man shouted excitedly. Over a dozen Eastern wasteland people were all excited. Roar. Roar. With 2 roars, 2 huge demonic beasts rushed out of the hall. They were as fast as lightning and were filled with a murderous aura. 2 shrieks rang out as the 2 Dongi men were torn in half by the 2 beasts. Blood and internal organs flew everywhere. It's another demonic corpse and demonic puppet. Be careful. With a furious roar, the 2 4th grade Great Martial Master Realm Elders pounced toward the 2 demon beasts. These 2 demonic beasts were also hairless, but their muscles were firm as if they were cast from gold and iron. Evil creature, die! The 2 old men roared and slashed their sabers at the eyes of the 2 demonic beasts. However, these 2 demonic corpses and demonic puppets were obviously stronger than the previous 2. They extended their claws and blocked the 2 men's sabers. The demonic corpse and the puppet kept roaring. The evil chi on their bodies was extremely strong. They didn't fear death at all. They rushed toward the Dongi people. Bang! Bang! Several 1st and 2nd grade Grandmaster Realm warriors were sent flying by the demonic beast. Only warriors above the 3rd grade Grandmaster Realm could fight it head-on. For a moment, the Dongi people were locked in a fierce battle with the 2 demonic beasts. At this moment, a figure silently passed through the crowd like a gust of wind and rushed into the hall. "Who is it? Damn it! Stop right there!" A fourth-grade Great Martial Master elder bellowed, and a sharp blade light slashed toward the figure. This figure was, of course, Lu Ming. Of course, he would not let go of such an opportunity. Clang! The long spear swept out and blocked the old man's saber. Lu Ming borrowed the force and rushed into the hall at an even faster speed. "You guys have fun, I'll be leaving first." Lu Ming let out a long laugh and leaped into the hall. The Dongi people roared in anger. "You guys charge in and kill that little brat. We'll hold off the 2 demonic corpses and demonic puppet." The 2 fourth-grade Great Martial Master Realm Elders bellowed and unleashed their bloodline power to block the 2 demonic corpses. The others took the opportunity to rush into the hall. "Little bastard, go to hell," a 3rd-grade Great Martial Master Burly Man bellowed. His killing intent surged like the tide, and his saber swept toward Lu Ming with a rolling saber radiance. Whoosh! However, what welcomed him was a lightning-like spear radiance. Blood splattered everywhere. Lu Ming's spear had pierced through the strong man's heart. Lu Ming could easily kill a 3rd-grade Grandmaster. After that, he swept the long spear horizontally, and the 2 2nd-grade Great Martial Master Realm men were also sent flying. They were no longer breathing. In the blink of an eye, he had killed 3 great experts. "Retreat!" The others turned pale with fright and hurriedly retreated. "Let's kill these 2 demonic beasts together and then go kill that little bastard. He won't be able to escape," a 4th-grade Great Martial Master elder shouted. The Dongi people were fighting the 2 beasts with all their might. In the hall, Lu Ming's eyes were glowing as he sized up his surroundings. There were more than a dozen bookshelves in the hall. Lu Ming glanced at them and was disappointed. Most of the bookshelves were empty. How could there be any secret manuals? He had probably been taken away by the Dongi tribe. "Hey, there's a box over there." Lu Ming saw a black box in an unremarkable corner of the hall. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he hurried over. It was unknown what metal the box was made of. It was black and rusty. Lu Ming released his essential qi and opened the box. Immediately, stacks of books were revealed to Lu Ming. There were dozens of books. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he quickly picked up a book. These secret manuals were naturally not made of ordinary paper, but from an unknown material that was extremely tough. Even after so many years, they were still in perfect condition. He opened it and saw that it was a sword technique. Tiger Raw sword technique, yellow-grade upper-class martial arts technique. It revealed the words inside. It's only a yellow-grade upper-level martial arts technique. Lu Ming was slightly disappointed. He then looked at the other secret manuals. Most of these secret manuals were yellow-grade martial skills. There were 32 books in total. Among them, there were 20 yellow-grade low-level martial arts techniques and 10 yellow-grade high-level martial arts techniques. There were only 2 black-level low-level martial arts techniques and they were all sword techniques. Lu Ming could not use them at all. Lu Ming was greatly disappointed. No wonder they were piled up in a box and placed in this corner. They were not taken away. They were thrown here like garbage. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. "Am I being too greedy? Although these secret manuals are low-level, they can be sold for at least tens of millions of silivera taels." On second thought, Lu Ming's eyes shone with a burning light. If these manuals were to be exchanged for contribution points in the contribution hall, they would be worth at least a few 100,000 contribution points. This was already a huge harvest. With a single thought, Lu Ming kept all these secret manuals in the Supreme Shrine. "Little bastard, hand over the secret manual, or else, die." At this moment, the Dongi people had finally finished off the 2 demonic corpses and rushed into the hall. When they saw the empty bookshelf, their eyes turned red and they looked at Lu Ming with great enthusiasm. The bookshelf was empty. Lu Ming must have taken it. Lu Ming could not be bothered to explain. He sneered and said, "I didn't want to fight you just now. Do you really think I'm afraid of you?" Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and dashed toward the Dongi people like the wind. "Kill him!" The Dongi tribe roared and charged at Lu Ming. With 2 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm experts as the leaders, the 10 of them joined forces and their power was astonishing. Lu Ming's body moved and he dodged to the front. In a flash, he appeared at the side. Fire dance. Flowers of fire appeared. By the time the flowers of fire dissipated, 3 Dongi warriors had already fallen. Their throats had been pierced by the spear. Ah! Kill! The 2 4th-grade Great Martial Master Elders' roars shook the sky. Their blade gleams soared into the sky and directly swept the roof of the main hall away. Debris flew everywhere and all of them were directed at Lu Ming. Chapter 158. Chapter 158. Chapter 158 Ambush, Kill. 5496903339. Buzz. Lu Ming's long spear swept out and his essential chi burst forth. The debris exploded into pieces and flew in the air. However, the 2 old men did not stop and continued to slash at Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the long spear in the middle and blocked in front of him. Clang! The 2 elders' sabers slashed at Lu Ming's spear and a shocking fluctuation erupted. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. His body trembled and he staggered backward. He's not going to make it. Kill him. The 2 elders were overjoyed when they saw that Lu Ming had been forced back. They attacked Lu Ming with even more vigor. The remaining 5 Dongi tribesmen also charged at Lu Ming with furious roars. For a moment, Lu Ming was surrounded by enemies from all directions. He seemed to be completely outmatched and was at a complete disadvantage. He kept retreating. Soon, they retreated to a corner near the exit. Kill him. All the scrolls here will be ours. The Dongi tribe will rise again. A 4th-grade Great Martial Master Elder shouted excitedly. The other Dongi people were excited as well. At this moment, a sharp piercing sound suddenly came from the door beam above his head. A sword light was rapidly piercing toward Lu Ming's back. The sword light was fast, accurate, vicious, and extremely powerful. His master was a 4th-grade Great Martial Master and a genius from the White Tiger Hall. That's right, the person who had launched the sneak attack was one of the 2 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm experts from the White Tiger Hall. It was unknown when he had hidden himself on the door beam. Go to hell, Lu Ming. Don't blame me. You can only blame yourself for offending the Duanmu family. As long as I kill you, the Duanmu family will definitely put me in an even more important position. A cold and vicious glint flashed in the eyes of the young expert from the White Tiger Hall. It was as if he could already see Lu Ming dying in his hands. The Duanmu family had absolute power in the White Tiger Hall. Most of the disciples who joined the White Tiger Hall had chosen to join the Duanmu family. Only by joining the Duanmu family could they obtain better cultivation resources. Of course, Ling Kong, that kind of freak, had a strong backing. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw a smile at the corner of Lu Ming's mouth. That smile was as if he had succeeded in his scheme. As expected, they've made their move. Just as well, we'll settle this together. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile and his eyes flashed with killing intent. He had not used his full power in the battle with the Dongi tribe. Otherwise, with his cultivation at the peak of the 1st-grade Great Martial Master Realm, he would not have been forced into such a difficult situation by 2 4th-grade Great Martial Masters and 5 3rd and 2nd-grade Great Martial Masters. Everything that had happened just now was an act. In fact, the young man from the White Tiger Hall had followed the Dongi tribe in. Lu Ming had noticed him as soon as he had entered. However, he didn't say anything because he could feel the killing intent from the young man. Therefore, he pretended to be at a disadvantage and even sent himself to the opponent to lure him out. Sure enough, the young man from the White Tiger Hall had fallen into his trap. Thinking that he had seen a good opportunity, he attacked decisively, wanting to kill Lu Ming. However, all of this was within Lu Ming's expectations. Boom! At that moment, Lu Ming's blood meridian erupted, and his aura rose sharply. At the same time, the true qi in his body burst out. LNU. Lu Ming did not even look at the young man from the White Tiger Hall. He held the end of the spear and swept it out. Buzz! The spear swept across the blades of the Dongi people with a terrifying power. The Dongi people were all shocked. They groaned and quickly retreated. However, Lu Ming's spear did not stop. It continued to sweep toward the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Why would I? The young man from the White Tiger Hall narrowed his eyes. He had pounced on Lu Ming with all his might just now. It was too late for him to retreat now. He could only grit his teeth and unleash his full power. The long sword in his hand burst forth with a powerful sword aura and attacked Lu Ming. Boom! However, Lu Ming's long spear was as easy as breaking a dead branch. It destroyed his opponent's sword chi. At the same time, the long spear bent into an arc and landed heavily on the body of the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Catcher! The sound of bones cracking could be heard as the young man from the White Tiger Hall let out a blood-curdling shriek. His body was sent flying, and he coughed up large mouthfuls of blood in the air. Kill! Lu Ming stomped heavily on the ground, his body spinning rapidly as he flew backward. The long spear in his hand also spun rapidly as he stabbed at the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Junior brother Lu Ming, don't. The young man from the White Tiger Hall was shocked as he screamed in the air. However, the spear did not stop. The spear pierced through the White Tiger Hall's young man's heart, and he was lifted into the air. Lu Ming, you are so ruthless. The young man from the White Tiger Hall glared at him with hatred. If you didn't want to kill me, I wouldn't have killed you with one shot. This is called asking for it. Lu Ming said indifferently. If the other party had not been bent on killing him, he would not have been killed by Lu Ming in 2 moves. After all, the other party was a rather talented genius from the White Tiger Hall. His combat strength was not weak. The young man from the White Tiger Hall revealed an expression of unwillingness, and his life force gradually faded. Not good. He was hiding his strength just now. Retreat. The Dongi people were terrified. An old man shouted. He had clearly seen that the person who had launched the sneak attack was definitely a 4th-grade great martial master. However, he was killed by Lu Ming in an instant. Lu Ming's strength was too terrifying. It's too late to leave now. Lu Ming controlled his blood and devoured the blood essence of the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Then, in a flash, he charged toward the Dongi tribe. You guys go quickly, I'll block him. An elder from the Eastern Barbarian tribe bellowed and turned around to attack Lu Ming. Explode! Lu Ming cast his strongest move without hesitation. At this moment, his bloodline was at the stage of exploding. The power of this move was terrifying to the extreme. The Dongi old man didn't even have time to scream before half of his body was blown up. And NBSB, hoo-hoo. At this moment, the aura on Lu Ming's body dropped rapidly. The time for the bloodline explosion was up. The rest of the Eastern Wasteland people were even more terrified and ran for their lives. Lu Ming stopped and did not give chase. The time for the bloodline explosion had already passed, and their combat strength had weakened. Even if they chased after them, they wouldn't be able to kill them all. It was better to forget it. Lu Ming immediately devoured all the blood essence of the Eastern barbarians who had died in battle. Not only that, but he also obtained 5 storage rings. As a martial grandmaster, it was normal for him to have a storage ring. It could be said that a storage ring was the standard of a martial grandmaster. If a martial grandmaster didn't even have a storage ring, he would be too miserable. After keeping it, Lu Ming moved and left the hall. After a few breaths, he appeared in a small room in the hall. With a thought, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine and prepared to refine the blood essence. However, Lu Ming's expression changed at that moment. He realized that the chanting had disappeared. In the depths of the Supreme Shrine, there was a strange chanting sound. Under this chanting sound, Lu Ming's mind was particularly clear. He comprehended martial arts techniques and made rapid progress. But now, it had disappeared. Chapter 159. Chapter 159, A large number of spiritual crystals. 5496903339. Ever since Lu Ming had obtained the Supreme Shrine, the chanting had accompanied him for more than a year. The chanting played a huge role in Lu Ming's rapid rise to power. Although Lu Ming did not know how this chanting came about, he seemed to have gotten used to it. As long as he comprehended martial arts techniques, he would enter the Supreme Shrine and comprehend the martial arts techniques through the chanting. When did it disappear? Lu Ming frowned. Is it because I broke through to the Great Martial Master realm? Lu Ming thought to himself. Speaking of which, ever since Lu Ming had broken through to the Martial Grandmaster realm, he had not entered the Supreme Shrine. After the breakthrough, Lu Ming took on the mission to exterminate the Dongyi tribe. He hurried through the night and arrived at Dongqiu City. For the first few days after he arrived at Dongqiu City, he stayed in the military camp. There were so many people, so Lu Ming naturally did not enter the Supreme Shrine. After that, the Dongyi tribe attacked the city. Then, in order to pursue the Dongyi tribe, he came to this plain. Throughout the entire process, Lu Ming did not enter the Supreme Shrine even once. Now that he thought about it, it was very likely because he had broken through to the Great Martial Master realm. As expected, it still disappeared. After a long while, Lu Ming shook his head and sighed. He had already expected this outcome. Since the sound of chanting had such a wonderful function and was constantly emitted without stopping, whether it was man-made or some kind of formation, it needed energy. And the energy would be exhausted eventually, and it would stop once it was exhausted. However, he didn't expect that it would happen after he broke through to the Great Martial Master realm. So what if there's no such chanting? I, Lu Ming, can still rise up and comprehend martial arts techniques quickly. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. Then, he stopped thinking and started to refine the blood essence. This time, there were 2 first-grade Great Martial Masters, 1 second-grade Great Martial Master's blood essence, and 2 fourth-grade Great Martial Master's blood essence. The blood chi essence was extremely vast. The huge amount of essence was converted into genuine chi. In his dantian, the chi cyclone spun rapidly, and the speed became faster and faster. His genuine chi also became stronger and stronger. Lu Ming began to strive for the second-grade Great Martial Master. 3 hours later, a strong aura suddenly burst out from Lu Ming's body. However, in the blink of an eye, the aura hid itself and Lu Ming opened his eyes. Second-grade Great Master Realm, breakthrough. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. After devouring the blood essence of 4 fourth-grade Great Martial Masters and a small number of second- and first-grade Great Martial Masters, Lu Ming finally broke through to the second-grade Great Martial Master realm. The amount of energy required was truly terrifying. However, the level of Lu Ming's blood meridian did not increase. It was still at the 5th level. It was getting harder and harder to increase the level of his bloodline. However, as long as he could improve, no matter how difficult it was, Lu Ming was confident that he could keep on improving. Now that I've reached the second-grade Grandmaster realm, I don't have to fear the 2 fifth-grade Grandmaster realm elders anymore. I can even kill them. Lu Ming revealed a confident smile. Let's see what's in their storage rings. Lu Ming's hand moved and 5 storage rings appeared. These were all Grandmaster realm storage rings. Lu Ming was quite looking forward to it. First, it was the storage ring of a first-grade Great Martial Master. The storage ring was very ordinary and could be considered the lowest grade of storage rings. However, the items inside still made Lu Ming look surprised. Spiritual crystals. There were thousands of spiritual crystals in the entire box. Each spiritual crystal was milky white in color and exuded a dense spiritual chi. The box was neatly arranged. Lu Ming's eyes were shining. Spiritual crystals could only be used by warriors above the Grandmaster realm because they were filled with rich spiritual chi. And this kind of spiritual chi, because it was gathered together, was extremely fierce and domineering. If a warrior below the martial Grandmaster realm used it to cultivate, it was very easy to explode and die. Spiritual crystals were the currency used by martial Grandmasters and above. Spiritual crystals were mainly divided into 4 grades: lower spiritual crystal, middle spiritual crystal, upper spiritual crystal, and supreme spiritual crystal. A lower spiritual crystal was worth 10,000 taels of silivera. The spiritual crystals of the first-level Grandmaster Realm Warrior were all lower spiritual crystals. 1,000 pieces were worth 10 million taels of silivera. This was a huge sum of money. Naturally, Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised. The Dongyi tribe lives in the depths of the mountains by the sea. They must have found spiritual crystal mines. They are indeed rich. Lu Ming sighed. He was looking forward to the remaining few storage rings. If a first-grade Grandmaster warrior had 1,000 spiritual crystals, what about a second-grade or even a fourth-grade Grandmaster? Other than the spiritual crystals, there were a few spiritual weapons in the storage ring. They were all second-level spiritual weapons and were not particularly valuable. After packing up, Lu Ming looked at the next storage ring. The storage ring had been left behind by a first-grade Great Master. There was still a box of spiritual crystals in it. There were a total of 1,200 pieces, more than the previous one. Lu Ming was even more pleased and continued to read. The next one was left behind by a second-grade Grandmaster. It did not disappoint Lu Ming. $3,000, a whole $3,000. Lu Ming's heart started to tremble. He could not wait to look at the storage ring of the fourth-grade Great Master. This storage ring was several times larger than the previous storage rings, and there were several boxes inside. Lu Ming opened it and his eyelids kept twitching. Spiritual crystals. They were all spiritual crystals. They were arranged in neat rows. Lu Ming started to count in a hurry. There were more than 11,000 pieces, all of them lower spiritual crystals. Lu Ming gasped. Then, he was overjoyed. The Dongyi people must have found a spiritual crystal mine deep in the coastal mountains. Otherwise, how could there be so many spiritual crystals? Generally, a first, second, or even fourth-grade Great Martial Master Realm Warrior would not have so many spiritual crystals on him. This was because a Great Martial Master's cultivation required spiritual crystals. If they had spiritual crystals, they would have used them up, so how could they have so many? The 4 Dongyi tribe warriors had a total of more than 16,200 spiritual crystals. In terms of Silivera, it had already exceeded 160 million taels of Silivera. What a huge fortune this was. Haha, if I exchange these spiritual crystals for contribution points, it'll be enough for me to use for a while. Lu Ming could not help but burst out laughing. Finally, Lu Ming looked at the storage ring of the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Indeed, Lu Ming was very disappointed. He was clearly a fourth-grade Great Martial Master, but in his storage ring, other than a few spiritual weapons and swords, some healing and cultivation pills, there were only 100 spiritual crystals and 3 million taels of Silivera. His wealth couldn't even compare to that of a first-grade Great Master Realm Warrior from the Dongyi tribe. Needless to say, the disciples of the mystical sword sect must have exchanged all their wealth for contribution points. How many spiritual crystals will we get if we take all the storage rings from the Dongyi people? Lu Ming's eyes were shining with hope. To be honest, Lu Ming was really tempted. He needed too many resources for his cultivation. He felt that he was lacking resources at all times. Chapter 160. Chapter 160. The Wonderful Third Platform. 54969039. Now that I've reached the Martial Grandmaster realm, I wonder if I can go up to the third platform? At this thought, Lu Ming's gaze turned to the third platform after the 99 steps. The platform was empty. There was only a stone platform that Lu Ming had been unable to climb up previously. Now, since the chanting had disappeared, could he step onto the third platform? Lu Ming got up and walked toward the third platform. Soon, he arrived at the 99th step. He took a step forward and without any obstruction, Lu Ming stepped onto the third platform. He's really here. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The first 2 platforms had a box each and it was of great help to Lu Ming. However, this platform was empty. What help could it be? Lu Ming looked around and walked around. He did not find anything and finally came to the stone platform. It was a very ordinary stone platform, square in shape, but there was a pit in the middle of the stone platform, which made it seem rather special. What's this for? Was it an array base? Or? Lu Ming sized it up carefully but still could not guess why. This pit is very similar to the size of a spiritual crystal. Lu Ming was deep in thought. Then, his palm glowed and a spiritual crystal appeared in his hand. He decided to give it a try by placing the crystals into the pit. Unexpectedly, as soon as he approached the pit, there was a strong suction force from the pit. The spirit crystal in Lu Ming's hand flew out of his hand and into the pit in the blink of an eye. Buzz. Then, the pit trembled slightly, and a hazy light was emitted. However, the light only flashed for a moment before it went silent again. What's going on? There was clearly some movement just now. Could it be that there aren't enough spirit crystals? Then continue to add more. Lu Ming pondered and took out a piece of spiritual crystal. He was also sucked into the pit, but just like before, the stone platform flashed and disappeared. Lu Ming continued to add spirit crystals. 3, 4, 8, 9. When 9 stones were added, a resplendent light shot up from the stone platform. Mysterious inscriptions began to appear around the stone platform, and these inscriptions continued to spread until they covered the entire platform. In the end, a figure condensed on one side of the platform. The figure's face could not be seen clearly, and he was standing there upright. A human figure? What's it for? Lu Ming was very surprised and walked over. Do it, fight me. The figure suddenly spoke. Lu Ming was stunned. This figure's face could not be seen clearly. It could be said that it was only condensed from energy. It could actually speak. Fight you? Lu Ming asked. Do it, fight me. The figure repeated his words without any emotion. So it doesn't have any spiritual intelligence. Lu Ming exhaled. His eyes flickered and he pondered for a moment. Then, he suddenly threw a punch. The Supreme Shrine could be said to be incomparably wondrous. There must be a reason for him to give it a try when the other party asked for it. Boom. The fist force howled as Lu Ming executed the flame dragon fist. However, to Lu Ming's surprise, his opponent threw a punch at the same time. He was also using the flame dragon fist. Boom. The two fists collided. Lu Ming felt a wave of scorching essential qi, condensed and strong, surging toward him. He could not help but take 3 steps back. He looked again and saw that the other party had also retreated 3 steps. The True War Dragon Technique. The opponent is also using the True War Dragon Technique. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with shock. If one could imitate a battle technique, how could one imitate a cultivation technique? However, the other party had really used the True War Dragon Technique. Lu Ming would definitely not be mistaken. Let's try again. Lu Ming threw a few consecutive punches, but the other party did the same, all of them using the flame dragon fist. The two of them exchanged a few punches in a row, and then each took a few steps back. There's no mistake, it really is the True War Dragon Technique. There was a look of disbelief in Lu Ming's eyes. He felt that fighting with the other party was like fighting with himself. Then, what about the sword art? Lu Ming moved his hand and a combat sword appeared. He performed the lustrous sword technique and slashed at the other party. But at the same time, his opponent also condensed a combat sword in his hand and performed the lustrous sword technique. In fact, when Lu Ming used his mid-air step, the other party would also use mid-air step. Fire gun art lightning chase. Lu Ming kept his combat sword and took out his fiery tongue spear, unleashing his strongest combat power. However, the other party had used the fire gun controlling art and his ability was not weaker than Lu Ming's. It could be said that they were exactly the same as Lu Ming. Whatever martial arts technique Lu Ming used, that figure would also use the same martial arts technique. Even the strength of their power was exactly the same. Lu Ming finally confirmed that the other party was himself. It was another him condensed by the inscription array. He was fighting with him. What a wonderful feeling. Lu Ming's eyes glimmered. He had always been fighting with his enemies, but he had never fought with himself. Then let's have a great battle. Since that was the case, Lu Ming could not be bothered to think about it. He relaxed his body and mind, exploded with all his strength, and began to fight the figure. However, no matter what techniques he used, the other party would also use them. No matter how much power he erupted with, the other party was not inferior at all. It was completely him. Boom. Boom. In the blink of an eye, the battle had gone on for more than 300 moves, and there was still no clear winner. How could he win against him? However, Lu Ming's face revealed a surprised smile. Wonderful, wonderful. It turns out that there is such a flaw in my martial technique. And I have a bad habit when I use my spear. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with ecstasy. In the battle just now, he had discovered his own shortcomings. He had exchanged more than 300 moves in a row, and he had tried his best to find the opponent's weakness in each move so that he could defeat him. Looking for the other's weakness, wasn't it the same as looking for his own weakness? He realized that the spear technique that he had thought was perfect actually had a flaw. Furthermore, he had a bad habit when he attacked. These were all very subtle places that were normally impossible to discover. He could only discover it when he was fully focused on fighting him. However, how could an ordinary person possibly fight against him? At this moment, Lu Ming realized that the figure condensed by the inscription array was more useful than the chanting of the scriptures. If he were to fight with him all the time, how much could he learn and comprehend martial arts techniques? Lu Ming felt excited at the thought of it. Continue. Lu Ming recovered for a moment and continued to fight the figure. Every time, Lu Ming would go all out and exchange hundreds of moves with his opponent. He would only stop when his essential qi was exhausted. Lu Ming only stopped after 3 consecutive times. That was because the figure had suddenly disappeared. He's gone. What happened? Lu Ming was shocked. He had just tasted the sweetness and he did not want to lose it just like that. Chapter 161. Chapter 161. Chapter 161 Demon Subduing Spear. 54969039. Is it because he ran out of spiritual crystals? Lu Ming had an idea. It would definitely require energy to form such a figure and engage in an intense battle with him. Lu Ming walked to the front of the stone platform. As expected, the stone platform had dimmed and returned to its original state. It seems like it really needs spiritual crystals to operate. Lu Ming discovered the problem and felt at ease. However, now was not the time to continue cultivating. He was still in the small plane. This was a small dimension left behind by the ancestors of the Dongi tribe. It might contain great opportunities and Lu Ming did not want to miss it. I'll study it in the future. Lu Ming muttered. Then, with a thought, he left the Supreme Shrine. In this place, other than that hall, there are still other places that I haven't explored. I'll continue to explore before going to other places. Lu Ming moved and began to explore the dilapidated hall. Most of the palace was in ruins and had collapsed. Only a few places looked fine. Unfortunately, Lu Ming had searched more than 10 rooms, side halls, and main halls but found nothing. It was empty. It seems like there's nothing left in this place. There's also the backyard. If I don't find anything, I'll leave. Lu Ming ran towards the backyard. The backyard was very wide, but it was desolate and overgrown with weeds. Lu Ming looked disappointed. He shook his head and was about to leave. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. There was a very special place in the middle of the backyard. That area was 10 meters in radius, and not a single blade of grass grew there. It was completely bare. And in the middle, there was a rusty iron rod stuck there. The other places were overgrown with weeds, but this area was bare. It was too special. Lu Ming was very curious. He walked over and took a closer look. The ground turned out to be a kind of grayish-brown rock that was very hard. Lu Ming stepped on it and it did not move at all. There were no signs of it breaking. No wonder not even a blade of grass grew. As for the iron rod, it was covered in rust. No one knew how long it had been through the wind and rain. This isn't an iron rod, it's a spear. After taking a closer look, Lu Ming was slightly stunned. It turned out that it was a long spear. However, the spearhead was inserted into the ground, causing Lu Ming to mistakenly think that it was an iron rod. This spear must be extraordinary since it stuck here. I can't miss this. There was a flash of fire in Lu Ming's eyes. He held the spear with both hands and pulled it out. The spear swayed slightly, but it was not pulled out. Lu Ming was shocked. Although he did not use his full strength just now, the strength he used to pull the spear out was enough to lift a huge rock weighing 100,000 catties. However, he could not even pull out a spear that was stuck in the ground. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The more this was the case, the more it showed that the spear was extraordinary. After that, Lu Ming held the long spear with both hands and stood in a horse stance. He exhaled and said, "Rise." With a loud shout, Lu Ming exerted all his strength. Boom! His essential qi was boiling and the ground rumbled. The muscles all over Lu Ming's body bulged, and his strength was unrivaled. Buzz! With a clang, Lu Ming finally pulled out the long spear that was stuck in the ground. Roar! At that moment, a beast's roar suddenly sounded from the spot where the spear was pulled out. Then, a black shadow condensed from the ground. It was a huge black lizard. However, it wasn't a physical body, but an illusionary body. Roar! The huge lizard roared and pounced on Lu Ming. "This is a demonic beast's soul." Lu Ming was shocked and quickly retreated. However, the black lizard suddenly exploded and turned into wisps of black gas before it disappeared. "Who?" Lu Ming exhaled. It seemed that it was only the remnant soul of a demonic beast. After being suppressed for an unknown amount of time, it was extremely weak and had automatically dissipated. The scene returned to normal. Lu Ming relaxed and immediately sized up the long spear in his hands. The spear was 8 feet long and the tip was 8 inches long. However, it was rusty and one could hardly tell what it looked like. However, the weight of the spear was shocking. Lu Ming estimated that it was at least 10,000 catties. "This weight is not bad." Lu Ming held the long spear and casually waved it a few times. The long spear swept through the air and let out a loud buzzing sound. It was as if muffled thunder had sounded in the 9 heavens. The momentum was shocking. Moreover, Lu Ming was very satisfied with the spear's flexibility and elasticity. It was much better than the fiery tongue spear. Although he could not tell what level the long spear was, Lu Ming liked it very much based on its weight and flexibility. There are more words. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed 2 small words on the spear. Demon subduing. Upon closer inspection, he found that they were the 2 words demon subduing. Demon subduing? Demon subduing spear, what a domineering name. Could it be that the lizard's demonic beast remnant soul was the demonic beast that was suppressed by the demon subduing spear? Lu Ming had an idea. After that, he waved it a few more times and felt that it was very suitable. The only bad thing about it was that the spear was covered in rust. It was extremely ugly, like a worn-out piece. Lu Ming planned to look for an inscriber to reforge it after he returned to the mystical sword sect. After keeping the demon-subduing spear, Lu Ming looked around and did not find anything else. In a flash, he left the place and headed to other places. At that moment, there was a majestic mountain peak hundreds of miles away from Lu Ming. However, the mountain peak was surrounded by thick fog. The fog was so thick that it was almost impossible to disperse. Even if a martial artist's vision was far better than ordinary people's, they could not see their fingers in this fog. On the outermost edge of the fog, there were hundreds of stone pillars. In front of the stone pillars, there were dozens of figures. They were all Dongi experts. At the very front, there were 3 figures. 2 of them were 5th grade Great Master Realm experts from the Dongi tribe. The other one was a thin figure wrapped in a black robe and a bamboo hat. His face couldn't be seen clearly. However, the 2 5th grade Great Master Realm elders seemed to be respectful to the man in the black robe and bamboo hat. "If I'm not wrong, this mountain is the cave dwelling left behind by your king. Follow my method and carve inscriptions on the stone pillar. Soon, the formation will be broken and the mist will be gone." The bamboo hat man ordered in a low and hoarse voice. "Yes, if we can get the inheritance of our ancestor, we will never forget your great kindness." A 5th grade Great Martial Master Elder clasped his fist respectfully. Then, the 2 old men walked up and started to carve inscriptions on the stone pillars. Half an hour later, the 100 stone pillars suddenly gave off a dazzling light, and the fog in the surroundings slowly dissipated. All the Eastern barbarian people were overjoyed. Their eyes were burning with excitement. Not long after, the fog completely dispersed, and the mountain peak that was previously faintly discernible in the fog finally revealed its true appearance. This was actually a wolf-shaped mountain peak. The entire mountain peak was barren. It was as if an incomparably huge rock had been sculpted into a giant wolf. The giant wolf lowered its head and opened its mouth, revealing a dark hole. Chapter 162. Chapter 162, Wolf-Shaped Cave Abode. 549690339. It was as if the huge wolf's mouth was the entrance to the cave. Ha ha ha, we have finally found the immortals' cave left by our ancestors. The heavens are helping us. The Dongi people shouted in excitement. All right, now that the formation at the entrance has been broken, let's go in together, the skinny black-robed man said in a low voice. The two fifth-grade Great Master Realm Elders looked at each other. Their eyes flashed and they nodded. Senior, please leave the ruins and return to the army of the East Lacking City, one of the old men said. The skinny black-robed man seemed to be stunned for a moment, then he said, "What's the meaning of this?" Senior, this is the ancestral land of the Dongi tribe. You are an outsider. It is not good for you to go in, another old man said. I understand, you guys are burning the bridge after crossing it. The skinny black-robed man's voice became even more hoarse and low. That's wrong. How can you say that I'm burning the bridge after crossing it? We just need you to return first. Once we obtain the treasures left behind by our ancestors, you'll naturally be rewarded. An old man from the eastern wasteland sneered. Haha, you're right. I've realized that you Dongi people are really despicable. This time, if I didn't provide you with the clues and the formation patterns to break the formation, how could you have known where the entrance to your ancestral remains was? How can you break this formation? Also, I left some men behind to help you block the geniuses of the mystical sword sect. I've done my best, but you're going back on your word just as I'm about to succeed. I must be blind. The skinny black-robed man laughed in a hoarse voice. Enough. An Eastern barbarian old man shouted coldly. His face darkened. You did make a contribution this time. I've already said that you'll get something out of it. Besides, the people you sent to stop the mystical sword sect disciples were useless. The mystical sword sect still caught up and caused great losses to the Dongi tribe. I haven't settled this with you yet. Also, don't think that I don't know your cultivation level. I'm just being polite by calling you senior. Don't be insensible. Otherwise, let's not talk about benefits. You might not even be able to leave. As soon as he finished speaking, the other Dongi masters stepped forward and surrounded the thin black-robed man. They looked at him with hostility. What an ungrateful bunch. No wonder the Dongi tribe declined. But do you think I didn't have a backup plan? The skinny black-robed man sneered. The next moment, he suddenly moved. He was as fast as lightning and pounced on a first-grade Great Martial Master. This time, it was so fast that the man's throat was grabbed by the thin black-robed man before he could react. With the influx of genuine chi, the Dongi man's body became soft and powerless. The skinny black-robed man grabbed his throat. The skinny black-robed man dodged several times and broke out of the encirclement, retreating to the center of the stone pillar. What are you doing? If you don't want to die, let him go. A fifth-grade Great Master Realm Eastern Wasteland Elder roared and pounced on the skinny black-robed man. But at this moment, the skinny black-robed man condensed a black long sword in his hand. He swung the long sword and the head of the Dongi man fell to the ground, blood splashing everywhere. Open it. The skinny black-robed man's genuine chi gushed out. The blood was driven by his genuine chi and formed into strands of blood, falling on the stone pillars and the ground. Buzz! More than 100 stone pillars suddenly began to shake, emitting a bright light. Then, the light from the 100 stone pillars gathered together, forming a light pillar as large as a mountain that shot into the sky. The light beam was so bright that it could be seen from hundreds of miles away. At this moment, hundreds of miles away, Lu Ming was running through a mountain forest when he suddenly saw a light pillar soaring into the sky in the distance. What's that? Could it be that some rare treasure has appeared? Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming moved and dashed in the direction of the light pillar. At the same time, the other mystical sword sect disciples also saw the pillar of light from different places, and they also made their way toward it. In the light pillar area. Haha, if you want to leave me behind and take everything for yourself, then let the disciples of the mystical sword sect come as well. Let's see if you can kill all of them. The skinny black-robed man let out a hoarse laugh. Detestable. Damn it. The Dongi people were furious. I'll kill you first. A fifth-grade Great Martial Master elder roared and continued to pounce on the skinny black-robed man. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. Then, beams of blood-red light shot out from the ground and headed toward the Dongi tribe. Ah! Someone from the Dongi tribe screamed as he was pierced by the bloodlight. At this moment, everyone was shocked to find that the bloodlight was actually blood-colored vines. The vine was as thick as a finger. It rushed out of the ground and wriggled crazily, trying to wrap around the Dongi experts. The burly man who was pierced by the vine let out a shrill scream. He used his genuine chi and tried to break free, but the blood-colored vine was so hard that he couldn't break free. It kept wriggling as if it was sucking the Dongi man's blood. The Dongi man's body shriveled up at a visible speed. The bloodsnake vines absorbed the blood and became even crazier. They kept twisting and attacking the others. There were a few hundred of them, a huge number. Ha ha ha, you guys enjoy it. The skinny black-robed man was extremely fast. His skinny figure flickered and dodged the blood-colored vines as he rushed toward the wolf-like mountain peak. Damn it, let's kill our way over, an Eastern barbarian old man roared. But then, a few more Dongi men were wrapped by the blood-red vines. The vines pierced their skin and devoured their blood. Those below the third-grade Great Martial Master realm, retreat. Those above the third-grade Great Martial Master realm, charge with us. A fifth-grade Great Martial Master elder shouted. Immediately, the Dongi tribe split into two groups. The ones with lower cultivation levels left the stone pillar while the ones with higher cultivation levels charged in together. On the other side, Lu Ming was running at high speed. He covered a distance of hundreds of miles in just half an hour. What a strange mountain. As he neared, Lu Ming saw the wolf-shaped mountain peak at first glance. It was the first time he had seen such a strange mountain peak. Intense battle cries could be heard from the front. When Lu Ming arrived, he saw two groups of people fighting. One group was the mystical sword sect's disciples, such as Chen Quan, and the other disciples from the other halls. It seemed that they were closer to this place and had arrived earlier than Lu Ming. The other group was of course the Dongi tribe, but they didn't have many masters. They were all below the third grade of the Great Martial Master realm and were no match for the disciples of the mystical sword sect. The Dongi people who were third-grade Great Martial Master and above were nowhere to be seen. Let's retreat first. The Dongi tribe saw that they were no match for the enemy and retreated, leaving behind a few corpses. Chapter 163. Chapter 163, Inside the Cave. 5496903339, Buzz. And NBSB, whoosh. Blood-colored vines shot out from the ground and wrapped around the corpses, devouring their blood. Could this be a bloodthirsty vine? It seems that the Dongi people have all rushed in. This must be an important place left behind by the ancestors of the Dongi tribe. There must be some great treasures in there. Let's go in too. A few mystical sword sect disciples also rushed in. Of course, some of the weaker ones, such as the first and second grade Grandmaster realm, didn't rush out rashly when they saw the crazily dancing vampiric vines. The ones who rushed out were all third-grade Great Martial Masters and above, and there were more than a dozen of them. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he rushed out as well. And NBSB, whoosh. At once, blood-colored vines shot toward Lu Ming like bolts of blood-colored lightning. Lu Ming's long spear swept out and struck the blood-colored vines away. Although these blood-colored vines posed a fatal threat to first and second grade Grandmaster realm martial artists, they posed no threat to him at all. Lu Ming made it through very quickly and ran towards the mouth of the wolf-shaped mountain peak. However, he stopped not long after. In front of them, demonic beasts roared, and a fiendish aura filled the air. There were at least 50 demonic corpses and demonic puppets fighting against the Dongi tribe. These Dongi people were, of course, experts of the third-grade Great Martial Master realm and above. They had broken through the bloodsnake vines, but they had not expected to be besieged by a large number of demonic corpses and puppets. Moreover, these demonic corpses and demonic insects were unusually powerful. Lu Ming even found demonic corpses and demonic insects with combat strength equivalent to a 4th-grade Great Martial Master among them. There were more than a dozen of them. On the ground, several Dongi masters had been torn apart. It was a terrible sight. Buzz, buzz. Behind them, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Chen Quan and the others had also rushed through the blood snake vines and were rushing over. However, when they saw the demonic beasts and demonic puppets in front of them, their faces turned green. There are so many demonic corpses and demonic puppets. How do we fight them? Chen Quan said with an ugly expression. In front of them, the Dongi people had clearly seen Lu Ming and the others. You guys can leave first. The two of us will be enough to barge in. Those little rascals from the mystical sword sect won't be able to. A 5th-grade Great Master Realm Elder from the Dongi tribe called out. Then, the other Dongi people retreated as they fought, out of the encirclement of the demonic corpses. The strange thing was that the demonic corpse didn't chase after the Dongi people when they had retreated to a certain distance. It only pounced on the 2 5th-grade Great Martial Master Elders as if it wanted to stop them from rushing in. However, the 2 5th-grade Great Martial Master Realm Elders joined forces and slowly made their way in. What do we do? There are so many powerful demonic corpses and demonic puppets. We can't break in at all. A young man from the Azure Dragon Hall shouted. No matter what, let's give it a try. The remaining 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm young man from the White Tiger Hall was unwilling to give up, and he charged forward. But in an instant, 3 or 4 demonic corpses equivalent to 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm pounced at him. He had to use all his strength to escape and retreat. He was almost seriously injured, and his face was extremely gloomy. There were too many demonic corpses and demonic puppets that were equivalent to 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm, and it was impossible to break through them. Junior brother Lu Ming, do you want to try? Chen Quan looked at Lu Ming. Of course. Lu Ming smiled faintly. His figure suddenly dashed out and rushed into the demonic corpse and the demonic armor. Roar! Roar! Instantly, 4 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm demonic corpses and demonic puppets pounced at Lu Ming. Get lost! Lu Ming's eyes gleamed and he swept his long spear horizontally. Boom! With a loud bang, 3 or 4 demonic corpses and puppets were blown away. Why would I? Chen Quan and the other mystical sword sect disciples, including the Dongi tribe, were all shocked. He swept away 3 or 4 4th-grade Great Martial Master Realm demonic corpses with a single spear strike. Isn't he too strong? Does he need to have the combat strength of a 5th-grade Great Martial Master? Could it be that Lu Ming already had the combat strength of a 5th-grade Grandmaster? This was too unbelievable, right? It had only been a few months since the great competition of the 4 courtyards. Lu Ming's improvement speed was too terrifying. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and was invincible. He swept away the demonic corpses and demonic puppets one by one and quickly pushed forward. At this moment, the 2 5th-grade Great Martial Master Realm Elders had already broken through the encirclement of the demonic corpses and appeared 100 meters away. It seemed that the area was the forbidden area of the demonic corpses and demonic insects. Once they arrived there, not a single demonic corpse or demonic insect would chase them. They had planned to rush in directly. After all, the thin black-robed man had disappeared without a trace. He might have already rushed into the cave of the Dongi ancestors. However, they saw Lu Ming rushing over at high speed. Damn it, we can't let him pass. The two of us will stop him here. An old man who was a little cowardly said with a gloomy face. Good. They would kill him here and then go in to kill that guy. The things left by the Dongi ancestors could not fall into the hands of outsiders. A chubby old man nodded, his face filled with killing intent. The two of them stood side by side, staring at Lu Ming coldly. Lu Ming waved his long spear and the demonic corpses and demonic puppets were sent flying. He rushed over quickly. A few minutes later, he neared the 2 Eastern Barbarian Elders. At this moment, the demonic corpses and demonic puppets roared and stopped chasing Lu Ming. They returned to their original places and glared at Chen Quan and the rest. Die! At the same time, the two elders from the Dongi tribe charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He did not take the attack head-on. Instead, he used the mid-air step and soared into the sky, avoiding the attacks of the two elders. Then, he stomped in the air as if he was walking in the void. He moved forward for dozens of meters and jumped over the two elders. "Haha, I'll take my leave first." Lu Ming laughed heartily. He moved and dashed toward the wolf-shaped mountain peak. "Stop right there. Damn it." The two elders from the eastern barbarian tribe bellowed and chased after Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming actually rushed in. The other mystical sword sect disciples were envious, especially the White Tiger Hall disciples. Lu Ming sprinted at high speed, getting closer and closer to the black mouth of the wolf-shaped mountain. Lu Ming did not stop and rushed in directly. The two elders of the Dongi tribe followed closely behind. "We'll find an opportunity to break them one by one." There was a flash of killing intent in Lu Ming's eyes. His cultivation had just broken through to the second-grade Great Martial Master realm, so he was confident that he could deal with a fifth-grade Great Martial Master, but he wasn't sure if he could deal with two at the same time. The dark cave was extremely deep. Lu Ming ran for thousands of meters before he reached the end. In front of him, a huge stone room appeared. In the stone room, there were 6 stone pillars. Above each stone pillar, there was a secret manual floating. Above the secret manual, there was a layer of light. At this moment, 2 of the secret manuals on the stone pillars had disappeared. On the other stone pillar, a thin figure in a black robe was constantly bombarding the halo of a secret manual. At this moment, the skinny black-robed man seemed to have noticed Lu Ming and his gaze swept over him. Lu Ming was stunned. He did not expect that someone had already entered in advance. Chapter 164. Chapter 164, The Mysterious Person. 5496903339. Who is this person? Lu Ming was very puzzled. The thin black-robed man merely glanced at Lu Ming indifferently and ignored him. He continued to bombard the halo that enveloped the secret manual. "I don't care who he is. To think that these secret manuals are protected by inscriptions. Given that so many years have passed, the power of the inscriptions still hasn't dissipated yet. I'll think about it later," Zhong Xian said. Lu Ming's mind raced. In a flash, he flew to another stone pillar and thrust his long spear at lightning speed. Boom! When the long spear stabbed into the halos covering the secret manual, it caused a boom while the halos started to shake like water waves. However, it did not shatter. What a powerful inscription defense. I don't know how many years have passed, but it still has such a strong defense. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. The scroll, it's a scroll left by the ancestors of my Dongi people. Stop. Damn it. How dare you touch the secret manual of the Dongi tribe? You're looking for death. At this moment, 2 elders from the Dongi tribe came in. They roared in anger when they saw what was happening. Then the 2 elders of the Dongi tribe pounced on the skinny black-robed man. 2 snow-white blade lights cut through the air and slashed at the thin black-robed man. "You guys are really ungrateful. I guided you guys here, and you guys actually attacked me first." The skinny black-robed man abandoned the manual and dodged the attack. If you didn't play tricks, how could the little bastard from the mystical sword sect have entered? Then all the treasures here will be ours. It won't be too late to kill him after I've dealt with you, the slimmer old man said coldly. "Ridiculous, do you really think you can kill me?" the skinny black-robed man said in a hoarse voice. At the same time, his aura grew stronger. A black sword appeared in his hand. He swung the sword, sending out sharp sword chi toward the 2 elders. Clang! Clang! The 3 of them exchanged a few blows. The skinny black-robed man was at a disadvantage and he quickly retreated. At this moment, Lu Ming was frantically attacking a light circle. After dozens of consecutive shots, the light circle finally exploded with a bang, like a ball of fireworks. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed the secret manual. The secret manual was very soft and was neither gold nor jade. He did not have time to look at it carefully. With a thought, He kept the secret manual in the supreme shrine. Then, he pounced on another stone pillar. Buzz! Buzz! At that moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. The thin black-robed man actually ran towards Lu Ming, with the two elders of the Dongi tribe chasing after him. Nest! Lu Ming could not help but curse. The skinny black-robed man was obviously diverting the trouble to himself. Little brother, why don't we join forces and kill these two old men? We'll split the items here equally. What do you think? The skinny black-robed man called out. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Sure, he said. We'll take one each. With that, Lu Ming rushed toward the old man. He would have to deal with the two elders sooner or later. Otherwise, the other party would not let him go. He might as well join hands with the skinny black-robed man and deal with the two elders first. All right. The skinny black-robed man was overjoyed. He turned around and charged at the fat old man. Damn it, do you think that joining hands will be of any use? The skinny elder roared and slashed his saber at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's long spear trembled. The spear's gleam pierced through the air and he was engaged in a great battle with his opponent. Boom! Boom! In the stone chamber, there were loud rumbles. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had exchanged more than 20 moves with his opponent. Lu Ming became stronger as he fought and gradually suppressed his opponent. On the other side, the skinny man with the black plate also displayed his powerful combat strength, suppressing the fat elder to the point where he could not fight back. Damn it, let's retreat. The two elders of the Dongi tribe roared in their hearts, but they had already decided to retreat. It's too late to leave now. The skinny black-robed man shouted coldly and waved his hands. A black light flashed rapidly and the air was filled with a kai-kai sound. The fat old man's expression changed drastically, and he waved his saber rapidly, making a series of ding-ding-ding sounds. However, they did not know what the sound was. It was too dense and fast, and it was difficult to completely block it. In the end, the fat old man's body was hit by something, and a long wound was cut open. Kai, the skinny black-robed man continued to wave his hands, and the air-piercing sounds became more intense. The fat old man roared repeatedly, but it was useless. With a phut sound, blood splattered everywhere. The fat old man's throat was pierced through, and he fell down screaming. The thin elder was shocked and did not dare to continue fighting. He slashed a few times in an attempt to force Lu Ming to retreat and escape. You're underestimating me too much. I'll send you to accompany your companions. Lu Ming shouted coldly and thrust his long spear rapidly. Explode. Boom. And NBSB. A terrifying energy exploded from the tip of the spear and shot toward Elder Shi. The old man's body trembled violently and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. He was almost blown apart. However, he was greeted by Lu Ming's long spear. Poochie. The fiery red spear pierced through the old man's chest. The old man was dead. The two Eastern barbarian elders were both killed. Amazing, amazing. Little brother is so young, but your strength is so terrifying. I really admire you. The skinny black-robed man laughed in a hoarse and low voice as he slowly approached Lu Ming. Lu Ming retracted his spear and controlled his blood vessels to silently devour the elder's blood essence. Instantly, the blood essence of a 5th-grade Grandmaster martial artist began to be refined. It turned into waves of energy that surged into Lu Ming's body to replenish his true qi. Lu Ming pretended to be panting heavily and said, "You are the mysterious one. You actually led the Dongi tribe to find their ancestral relic. It seems that you were the one who instigated the Dongi tribe to attack the Burning Sun Empire? Haha, that's because we have no choice. We have to use the Dongi tribe to open their ancestral relic. Now, we've so levered everything. It's just you and me. We'll split the treasures equally. What do you think?" The skinny black-robed man laughed in a hoarse voice. "Of course you can." Lu Ming smiled. At this moment, the thin black-robed man suddenly launched an attack. He pounced at Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning and waved his hands, causing the air to crack. However, Lu Ming was very calm, as if he had expected the skinny black-robed man's sneak attack. The moment the skinny black-robed man attacked, Lu Ming's body floated backward. He waved his long spear, and the tip of the spear trembled, turning into rays of spear light. Ding ding! A series of concentrated clashing sounds rang out. The skinny black-robed man's attacks were all blocked by Lu Ming. "You knew I was going to ambush you?" The skinny black-robed man seemed to be surprised. "One must always be on guard against others," Lu Ming said coldly. "You're quite young, but you're quite vigilant. But do you think you can stop me just because you're on guard? You're so naive." In the next moment, the thin black-robed man disappeared and suddenly appeared behind Lu Ming, stabbing his sword at Lu Ming's back. "LNU." Without thinking, Lu Ming swept his long spear to the back. Clang! The spear and the sword clashed. Lu Ming's body trembled, but he stomped on the ground and continued to attack the skinny black-robed man. "If you want to kill me, I'll kill you first," Lu Ming shouted coldly and launched a storm-like attack. Chapter 165. Chapter 165, A Peerless Beauty. 54969039. Lu Ming waved his spear like a dragon. The power of fire exploded. Combined with the fire-controlling spear art, the power was terrifying. As he waved his spear, it was like a volcano erupting. A scorching aura filled the air and enveloped the thin black-robed man. Boom! The skinny black-robed man tried his best to resist, but he was still swept by the scorching aura. His black bamboo hat suddenly burst open, revealing the face under the black robe. Lu Ming was shocked. It was a woman's face. She was about 15 or 16 years old and looked even younger than Lu Ming. She had an oval face, willow-shaped eyebrows, round, watery almond-shaped eyes, and skin that was whiter than snow. She was actually a woman of unparalleled beauty. Lu Ming initially thought that it would be a skinny old man. He did not expect it to be a stunning young lady. He could not help but be stunned. "I didn't think that a small empire like the Burning Sun Empire would have a genius like you. A second-grade Great Martial Master was actually able to shatter my bamboo hat. Since that's the case, I won't hide anymore. I'll show you my true strength." The beautiful woman's voice was clear and melodious, like beads falling onto a jade plate. It was very pleasant to the ear, but at this time, her voice was filled with cold, killing intent. Whoosh! The beautiful woman pulled off her black robe. The black robe was torn apart, and it fluttered in the air like black butterflies, revealing the young girl's delicate figure. However, Lu Ming was not in the mood to appreciate it because the young girl had already launched a fierce attack on him. Heavenly demon power, chaotic dance of the demonic lotus. Die! The beautiful girl shouted. Black genuine chi surged around her body, forming black lotuses around her. Then, the young lady waved her hands and the black lotus flower spread out. The black petals pierced through the air and flew toward Lu Ming with an ear-piercing whistling sound. Lu Ming finally knew what technique the young girl had used to kill the elder of the Dongi tribe. It was these petals. However, the speed of these petals was obviously faster and there were more of them. Fire dance. The long spear swayed and flames appeared around Lu Ming. Ding, ding, ding. Rapid clashing sounds rang out, and in a few breaths, more than 100 strikes had been made. What powerful strength! Lu Ming felt that every time they clashed, the power from the black flower petals was shocking. After clashing for more than 100 times, even with Lu Ming's cultivation, he felt his arm go numb. Great demonic palm, the stunning young lady shouted. She kicked her legs slightly and her body soared into the sky, striking out a few palm strikes at Lu Ming. 3 black palm prints were lined up, one in front and one behind, tearing through the air and heading toward Lu Ming. Broken armor. Lu Ming thrust his long spear forward. The tip of the spear spun, bringing with it a powerful spinning cutting force. Bang! The first palm print was destroyed by Lu Ming, but his body swayed and he could not help but take 2 steps back. However, the second palm print had already arrived. Broken armor. He continued to cast the same move and destroyed the second palm print. However, Lu Ming retreated 8 steps in a row, his face pale. Immediately, the third palm print followed. Landslide. Break. Lu Ming roared and swept his long spear. The spear body shook and collided with the third hand seal. Boom! As if struck by lightning, Lu Ming's body trembled violently and he retreated more than a dozen steps. His qi and blood were in turmoil. He felt something sweet in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. He's too strong. Where did this genius come from? At this moment, Lu Ming was shocked beyond words. Before this, the girl's aura was hazy. Although she looked strong, no one could see her cultivation. However, when she used the demonic palm print, she finally revealed her cultivation. Second grade Great Master Realm. This stunning young lady's cultivation was the same as Lu Ming's, at the second grade Grandmaster Realm. However, her combat strength was terrifyingly strong, and she could actually suppress Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming's true war dragon technique had been cultivated to the third level and he had comprehended the force of fire, he was actually suppressed in a battle of the same level with such powerful combat strength. Force. This girl has also comprehended force, and her level of controlling force is definitely higher than mine. She's also very powerful in other aspects. No, from her tone, she shouldn't be from the Burning Sun Empire. Lu Ming's mind was racing. Not bad, kid. I didn't expect that there would be a second-grade Great Martial Master in the Blazing Sun Empire who could block my demonic palm. I'm starting to feel pity for you. How about this? If you leave now, I'll spare your life. The stunning young lady looked at Lu Ming in surprise. The victor hasn't been decided yet. I don't have the habit of admitting defeat easily. Lu Ming grinned, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. I just complimented you, and you're so arrogant. I'll show you the difference between us. The young girl snorted coldly. She moved and charged toward Lu Ming. So fast, this is the force of the wind. Lu Ming's pupils constricted and he suddenly swept his long spear horizontally. Boom! The two of them exchanged a blow and then started fighting again. It had to be said that the stunning young lady's combat strength was very terrifying. Other than not using his blood meridian, Lu Ming had already used all his strength. However, he was still completely suppressed by the young lady. After only 7 or 8 moves, Lu Ming was completely outmatched. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. I'll send you on your way. The girl's voice was very cold as she sent out a few demonic palm imprints. Now. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. A blood-red light flashed on his body as his blood meridian burst out. After that, Lu Ming ignored the demonic palm print and dashed toward the young girl. Boom! 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 3 black palm prints landed on Lu Ming's body in a row. However, Lu Ming's body only trembled. He gritted his teeth and rushed toward the young lady. The young girl was stunned. She had never expected that Lu Ming could withstand her demonic palm imprint. By the time she came to her senses, Lu Ming was already in front of her. Whoosh! The long spear was thrust out as fast as lightning, but the young girl's reaction was also very fast. She waved her palm and smacked Lu Ming's long spear to the side. However, Lu Ming's momentum did not stop and he continued to crash into the young girl. At the same time, his palm glowed and the long spear disappeared. Lu Ming's claw was aimed at the young girl's throat. This time, the young girl could no longer dodge and was caught in Lu Ming's arms. At the same time, Lu Ming's fingers grabbed her throat. However, Lu Ming's fingers did not reach for it because a dagger had appeared in the young girl's hand out of nowhere and she was pressing it against Lu Ming's back. As long as Lu Ming exerted force in his claws, the young girl's dagger could instantly pierce through Lu Ming's heart. On the other hand, the young lady did not dare to stab him with her dagger. If she exerted any force, Lu Ming's claw would instantly break her throat. The two of them were in a stalemate. However, their posture was really strange. Lu Ming clasped the young lady's neck with one hand and hugged her slender waist with the other. The young lady's hands seemed to be hugging Lu Ming. She held a dagger in one hand and pointed it at Lu Ming's back. Chapter 166. Chapter 166, Stop. 549690339. Their faces were only a few centimeters apart, and their eyes met. They could smell each other's breath. A delicate fragrance wafted into Lu Ming's nose. He could not help but twitch his nose and take a few deep breaths. The girl's face turned red, and her eyes were filled with anger and killing intent. She said coldly, "If you don't want to die, quickly let go." How could Lu Ming agree? "Unless you put away your dagger, don't think I'll let you go," he pouted. "I'll keep the dagger first. Don't even think about it." The young girl shouted angrily. "Oh, forget it then, it's pretty good like this anyway, soft jade and fragrant, not bad, not bad, it's also pretty good to stay like this." Lu Ming chuckled. "You're shameless." The young girl was embarrassed and furious. "You still dare to scold me? Do you believe that I will bite you? You." Lu Ming grimaced in pain. "No, wait, wait." The young girl finally couldn't take it anymore and screamed. Lu Ming stopped. "How about this, we both let go. I will put away the dagger and he will let go of your hand. How about it?" The young girl said helplessly, her heart clenched. Lu Ming was really despicable. "All right." Lu Ming pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. After all, it was not a solution to go on like this. "I'll count to 3, 2, 1, and we'll both let go." The young girl was overjoyed to see Lu Ming nodding. 3, 2, 1. When the young lady shouted 1, the dagger in her hand disappeared and Lu Ming released her throat. At this moment, a cold glint flashed in the young girl's eyes. The muscles all over her body trembled. Her seemingly petite body burst out with an unparalleled power. At the same time, she clasped her arms and grabbed Lu Ming's neck. "I knew you would be like this. Break!" Lu Ming shouted. The muscles in his body bulged, and at the same time, the essential qi in his body burst out. He grabbed the young girl's hands with both hands. At the same time, Lu Ming's legs clamped around the young girl's waist. Instantly, the two of them fell to the ground and wrestled with each other. They were competing in the burst of their physical strength and true qi. Lu Ming realized that the young lady's physical strength was extremely strong, far exceeding his. Moreover, the cultivation technique that the young lady cultivated was also extraordinary. The condensation and richness of her essential qi were far beyond that of an ordinary martial artist. However, there was still a gap between her and Lu Ming's essential qi. Therefore, the combination of physical strength and essential qi made Lu Ming and the young girl almost on par. It was difficult to tell who was superior. However, after a long time, Lu Ming still had the upper hand. In the end, the young girl finally admitted defeat. She was completely defeated as she shouted, "Let go of me. I swear I won't do anything to you. We'll each take half of the secret manuals here. If I go back on my words, I'll never improve my martial arts again. I'll die of qi deviation." Lu Ming's heart stirred. To a martial artist, this oath was heavy enough. Moreover, martial artists valued oaths very much. This was because if one did not abide by the oath they had made, it was very likely that it would leave a knot in one's heart, which would be very disadvantageous to their future cultivation. This is more like it. Lu Ming then let go of his hand. The young girl also let go of her hand and let go of Lu Ming. Lu Ming crawled a few meters away and lay on the ground, panting heavily. The battle just now was even more tiring than an intense battle of life and death. The young girl was the same. She panted heavily, but her beautiful eyes glared at Lu Ming fiercely, as if she wanted to bite him. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He shouted, "Hey, you swore it yourself. Don't forget it." The young lady's combat strength was indeed above his. Furthermore, his bloodline had already erupted. If they were to fight again, he would not have the ability to create the situation he had just created. The young girl's eyes flickered. In the end, she gritted her teeth and let out a cold humph. She did not continue to attack. The two of them glared at each other while circulating their cultivation techniques to recover their true qi. 2 hours later, both of them had recovered their physical strength and true qi at the same time. Buzz! Buzz! The two of them flashed at the same time and rushed towards a stone pillar, beginning to bombard the light rings on the stone pillar. Great demonic palm! The young girl seemed to have released all her anger onto the light ring, erupting with a powerful attack. The light ring in her hand exploded in no time. The young girl collected the secret manual in the ring of light and threw it at the next ring of light. So fast. Lu Ming's heart ached terribly. There were 6 stone pillars in total. The young girl had already destroyed the halos on 2 of them, and Lu Ming had obtained a secret manual. There were only 3 books left. Now, there was 1 less book. Lu Ming could only get 2 books at most. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming bombarded the ring of light with his long spear. After dozens of shots, the ring of light shattered and Lu Ming kept the secret manual inside the supreme shrine. He looked over at the young lady and saw that she had just shattered another light ring and obtained the secret manual inside. There were 6 stone pillars and 6 secret manuals. The young girl took 4 of them and Lu Ming got 2. Chapter 167. Chapter 167, The Flaming Passageway. 5496903339. At this moment, the young girl's mood seemed to have improved. She looked at Lu Ming smugly and snorted coldly. Immediately, the young girl rolled her eyes and suddenly said, "Brat, your combat strength is not bad. Why don't we join forces and break into the core of this cave? How is it? The core area. Isn't this the core?" Lu Ming was a little surprised. Of course not. This is the cave abode left behind by a martial king realm master, an ancestor of the Dongi tribe. How can it be given away with just a few manuals? The young girl laughed in disdain. He's a peerless expert of the martial king realm. Lu Ming gasped in his heart. At the same time, there was a burning desire in his eyes. A martial king realm martial artist, also known as a king, was incredibly powerful. There might not even be a martial king realm expert in the Burning Sun Empire. Kings had the power to destroy the heavens and earth, overturn rivers and seas, and were unimaginably powerful. This was the cave mansion of a martial king realm expert. What kind of treasures would there be? How is it? Let's join forces, the young lady said with a smile. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He was a little puzzled. This young girl should be itching to bite him, right? Why would he be so kind to invite him to help? Who cares? Let's agree first. This is a king's ruin. Lu Ming made up his mind and said, "All right, I agree to work with you. And NBSB. All right, let's go." The young lady smiled, her beauty capable of causing the downfall of cities and countries. Lu Ming could not help but be stunned. This young lady is really pretty. She's not inferior to Mulan and Qiu Yu at all. In fact, she's even better than them. Unfortunately, she's too evil. The girl touched one of the walls of the stone room. Not long after, the stone room's wall made a cracking sound, and a stone door appeared. Lu Ming was very surprised. He could not help but ask, "Who are you? Why are you so familiar with this place?" "Of course I've investigated it thoroughly. Why else would I come to this place so easily? As for who I am, why should I tell you?" The young girl rolled her eyes at Lu Ming and snorted coldly. She was the first to enter the stone door. Lu Ming followed him in. Behind the stone door was a passage that twisted here and there. After exiting the passage, there was another stone room. However, there was nothing left in this stone room. Lu Ming followed the young girl and passed 3 stone rooms. Finally, they ran into trouble. In the 4th stone chamber, they encountered the demonic corpse and the demonic puppet. There were a total of 6 demonic corpses and demonic puppets. Each of them had the combat strength of a 5th-grade great martial master. The 6 of them joined forces, and the 2 of them were caught in a difficult battle. However, the eyes of the demonic corpses and demonic puppets were their weak points. The 2 of them took more than 10 minutes to kill all 6 demonic corpses and puppets. Then, Lu Ming's gaze shifted to a stone door at the side of the stone room. This stone door was taller and wider than the previous one. It was more than 2 meters wide. When the stone door was opened, a dark passage was revealed. If I remember correctly, we will reach the final core area after passing through this passage, but there must be inscriptions on this passage, the young girl said. Lu Ming nodded and the 2 of them walked in. The deeper they went, the wider the cave became. In the end, it became a huge passage that was 7 to 8 meters high and more than 10 meters wide. Surprisingly, there was no movement for the first 1,000 meters. But after walking for about 1,000 meters, inscriptions began to flash around the cave and on the ground. Countless inscriptions glowed, and then, a scorching aura spread out. In the next moment, the entire passage turned red, as if it was in a fire domain, and NBSB, hoo-hoo. A large patch of fiery red flames appeared and filled the tunnel. This was a real flame, not an illusion, but formed by inscriptions. Buzz. All of a sudden, a tall figure walked out of the flames. His entire body was condensed from flames, and he held a huge flame sword in his hand, slashing it at Lu Ming. A flame spirit condensed from runes. Lu Ming's heart trembled. He did not dare to underestimate her. The fire tongue spear appeared and he thrust it forward. Boom! The powerful spear's gleam pierced through the flame spirit. However, after the flame spirit was dispersed, it instantly condensed again and charged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, a few other flame spirits condensed and charged at Lu Ming with flaming sabers, flaming spears, and other weapons in hand. On the other side, the beautiful young lady was in the same situation. She was surrounded and killed by the fire spirits. Boom! Boom! Booms rang out continuously as the two of them engaged in a great battle with the flame spirits. However, these fire spirits were very powerful and couldn't be destroyed. After being scattered, they would gather again, making them very difficult to deal with. Let's join forces and keep charging forward. As long as we can get past this place, we'll reach the final core area. The young girl called out. Lu Ming nodded and leaned against the young girl. The two of them attacked together and rushed forward. However, there were more and more flame spirits in front of them, and the temperature of the flames was getting higher and higher. The two of them seemed to be in a furnace. The flames are my battlefield, Lu Ming muttered. The power of the fire erupted and formed a wonderful domain around him. When he walked past, the flames automatically retreated. Who? Fire Ruthless waved his spear, and the flames were driven by the spear, forming a fire dragon that blasted toward the flame spirits. Bang! Bang! One by one, the fire spirits were blown away. The fire here is really magical. It's completely different from the fire of a volcano. The fire of a volcano is about erupting and destroying everything. However, the fire here has a spirit and can form a fire spirit. Lu Ming's heart stirred and he seemed to have understood something. His eyes were bright as he observed his surroundings while fighting. Fire is not only explosive and destructive. It also contains spirituality and vitality. Fire is the origin of human civilization, Lu Ming kept thinking in his mind. Unknowingly, the force of fire in his body became more condensed. My fire force is about to reach the small success stage. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He didn't expect that a moment of comprehension would allow his fire force to improve by such a large margin. Originally, his force of fire was only at the beginner level and could be considered as scratching the surface. Now, he had finally taken a big step forward and was approaching the small success stage. The improvement in the force of fire made Lu Ming's attack stronger. With one sweep of his spear, a large number of flame spirits were swept away. At the side, the stunning young lady was secretly shocked. Lu Ming's comprehension ability surprised her. It was only an inscription formation, but Lu Ming had actually comprehended something in such a short time. Boom! Boom! The two of them joined forces and advanced forward. However, there were too many flame spirits, and the battle between them was extremely difficult. Half an hour. The two of them had been charging forward for half an hour, crossing thousands of meters. Even with their combat strength, there were still many wounds on their bodies. It could be said to be a tough battle. We're almost there. The stunning young lady suddenly cried out in surprise. Lu Ming's spirits were lifted. They had finally reached the end of the cave. In front of them, there was a huge underground cave. Chapter 168. Chapter 168, The Jade Sword and Ring. 5496903339, he could vaguely see the situation in the cave. Charge. The two of them used all their strength to blast away some of the fire spirits in front of them, and they rushed forward. Buzz! Buzz! After a few runs, he crossed the last few dozen meters and rushed into the cave. After the two of them entered the cave, the flame spirit and the flames behind them slowly disappeared. Who? The two of them let out a long breath and then looked around. This was an underground cave. It was very large, with a height of more than 100 meters and a radius of more than 100 meters. The two of them glanced around and fixed their eyes on the center of the underground cave. There was a human skeleton sitting cross-legged on the ground. The bones were as clear as jade. There was an altar behind the skeleton. It was made of stone and carved with patterns. It was filled with an ancient charm. However, Lu Ming and the beautiful young lady only took a casual glance at these and ignored them. Their eyes were fixed on the two arms of the skeleton. The skeleton's right hand was holding a green jade sword. The jade sword was very small, not much bigger than a finger. On the left finger of the skeleton, there was a ring. A storage ring. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that it was a storage ring. This skeleton must have been an expert when it was alive, so its storage ring must be worth a lot. Lu Ming's eyes were burning. Buzz! Buzz! Suddenly, Lu Ming and the girl in his character moved at the same time. The two of them turned into two rays of light and dashed toward the skeleton. In an instant, the two of them arrived in front of the skeleton. Lu Ming clawed at the storage ring on the skeleton's finger, while the stunning young lady went for the jade sword in the skeleton's right hand. Gathering his junchi, he formed a claw and grabbed the storage ring off the skeleton's hand. "It's in my hand." Lu Ming was overjoyed. At this moment, the beautiful young lady was also holding the jade sword in her hand. The joy on her face was difficult to suppress. Then, the beautiful young lady moved her hand and kept the jade sword. She looked at Lu Ming and said, "Hey, kid, hand over your storage ring. We'll split the things inside. Half each." "Are you kidding me? You take that jade sword and I take the storage ring, so we each have one. What right do you have to split my storage ring?" Lu Ming sneered. Naturally, he would not give it up. "Your appetite is too big. This is an interspatial ring left behind by a king. Its value is shocking, but I only took a jade sword. It's not fair. I don't care, I want to split the things in the interspatial ring equally." The stunning young lady glared at him and said arrogantly. Lu Ming was speechless. He rolled his eyes and said, "How about this? How about we exchange? I'll use my storage ring to exchange for that jade sword so that you won't say that I've taken advantage of you." "Why should I exchange with you? I won't." The stunning young lady didn't even think about it and directly rejected him. Lu Ming was so angry that he laughed. He could tell that the value of the jade sword was higher than that of the storage ring. This young girl had gotten a bargain, but she was still thinking about the storage ring. "Then let's have one each." Lu Ming could not be bothered with her and kept the storage ring. What was there to say to this unreasonable woman? "H, if you don't give it to me, then I'll take it myself." The stunning young lady rolled her eyes and suddenly rushed toward Lu Ming. "Hey, you swore before that you wouldn't fight me. You're going against your oath now." Lu Ming shouted as he retreated quickly with his spear in hand. "H, I said before that I wouldn't do anything when I get those secret manuals, but I didn't say that I wouldn't do anything here." The young girl coldly snorted as she quibbled. Boom. The young lady waved her hand and unleashed the demonic palm imprint. 3 huge palm prints as black as ink struck toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his long spear to block it. Although Lu Ming's power of fire had increased, he was still not a match for the young lady. He was forced to retreat by the strong palm force. "Let's go to the fire formation." Lu Ming's figure flashed and he sprinted towards the passage from before. When Lu Ming dashed into the passage, the surroundings shone with bright runes again. Then, flames and flame spirits appeared and charged at Lu Ming. When the beautiful girl rushed in, many other flame spirits also rushed toward her. "Get lost!" The young girl shouted and struck out a few times in a row. She defeated 5 to 6 flame spirits and charged toward Lu Ming. "Don't think I'm afraid of you." Lu Ming was really angry. He roared and waved his long spear. The surrounding flames were driven by him and followed the momentum of the spear. They condensed into a fire dragon and blasted toward the young girl. Boom! The fire dragon and the girl's demonic palm collided. The black genuine chi and the fiery red flames exploded, sweeping in all directions. A few fire spirits nearby were directly blown away. Lu Ming and the young girl swayed at the same time and they were equally matched. In the fire formation, Lu Ming's combat strength was stronger while the young lady was suppressed. Lu Ming was completely able to fight her. "Let's see how you're going to take my storage ring. Now, I'm going to hit you." Lu Ming shouted loudly, waving his long spear and lashing it at the young girl. "You!" The young girl gritted her teeth, and her pair of beautiful palms continuously struck out with dense palm energy. Boom! Boom! The rumbling sounds continued as Lu Ming and the young girl exchanged dozens of moves. However, Lu Ming became more and more courageous as the battle progressed, while the young girl's essential chi was slowly depleting. Previously, he had already expended a lot of energy to clear this passage. Now that he was fighting with Lu Ming, he naturally expended even more energy. On the other hand, Lu Ming had the advantage of the environment. He did not consume much energy in the fire array. Bang! After exchanging another blow with Lu Ming, the young girl retreated and left the passage. "Chimph, you win. I'm not going to fight with you anymore. I'm so tired." The young girl retreated a distance and sat on the ground. She was drenched in sweat and panting. Lu Ming walked forward cautiously and finally left the range of the large array in the passage. As soon as he left, the flames in the passage disappeared. Lu Ming did not go too far away from the passageway. He sat cross-legged at the entrance so that if the young lady attacked, he could escape into the passageway at once. "All right, I won't fight with you anymore. You're lucky to have obtained such a great opportunity this time." The young girl gritted her teeth and said, as if she was very unwilling to accept this. "You should have gained more than me, right? We're the same," Lu Ming said with a smile. "I spent a lot of effort to get in here. You've gained a lot. Chimph, that's it. I see you're tired. Let's adjust our breathing together. Don't sneak an attack," the young girl said unhappily. "I'm afraid you'll sneak attack me." Lu Ming pursed his lips. After that, the two of them began to regulate their breathing. Of course, they both kept a part of their attention on each other, afraid that the other would suddenly attack. 3 hours later, the two of them stood up at the same time. "You've taken advantage of me before. Let's see how you're going to take advantage of me later." The girl snorted coldly and walked toward the altar behind the skeleton. Chapter 169. Chapter 169, Beast King Soul. 54969039. Lu Ming was a little surprised. He did not know why the young lady was walking toward the altar. The young girl walked to the side of the altar and circled around it, carefully sizing it up. Sometimes he observed carefully, sometimes he frowned in thought, and then he smiled. Just like that, after half an hour, the girl began to inscribe the inscription. The young lady's slender fingers began to move in the air. Her fingertips contained true chi, and as she moved them in the air, a strange pattern appeared. This was an inscription, and the girl was inscribing an inscription. Carving runes in the air, what a brilliant technique. Lu Ming sighed secretly. Even though he didn't know much about the Tao of inscription, he still had some basic knowledge. Generally speaking, it was not possible for a martial grandmaster to carve an inscription in the air. Inscriptions appeared in the air and flew toward the altar. On the stone altar, the ancient patterns seemed to come to life, emitting a faint halo. "Open it." A moment later, the young girl shouted and waved her hands, sending inscriptions into the altar. Soon after, the sacrificial altar buzzed and emitted rays of light that were extremely bright. Roar! Suddenly, the roar of a beast came from the altar. A fierce tiger rushed out of the altar and leaped into the air. The tiger was 3 meters tall and 6 meters long. It stood in the air and roared into the sky. It was majestic and a powerful aura spread out. A beast soul. What a complete beast soul. Lu Ming was shocked to see this. This fierce tiger didn't have a physical body, but it looked like it had a physical body. This was definitely a beast soul left behind by an extremely powerful demonic beast, and it was very complete. Heavenly demonic soul condensing technique, take it, the girl shouted, and her whole body emitted a black light. Her hands formed a series of strange seals, and then, a black light shrouded the tiger beast soul. The tiger beast soul roared continuously. A strong pressure filled the cave, pressing down on Lu Ming's heart like a mountain. What a powerful beast soul. This beast soul was extremely powerful when it was alive. It must be a rank 4 demonic beast, and not an ordinary one at that. Lu Ming was shocked. The tiger beast soul roared, but it was useless. It turned into a ray of light and was put away by the girl. OWW. After the tiger beast soul was put away, the altar roared again, and a giant black wolf appeared in the air. Just like the tiger beast soul from before, this giant wolf was also a beast soul. Judging from its aura, it was not any weaker than the tiger beast soul from before. Sigh sigh. As soon as the beast soul of the giant wolf appeared, another cry was heard, and a giant snake more than 30 meters long appeared in the air. Another beast soul. There were so many powerful beast souls sealed in this stone altar. Here, the real treasures are here. These are all beast souls of Half-Step King realm. They were refined by the ancestors of the Dongi tribe with a secret technique. They are complete. If you merge them with your body, you can burst out with great power. It's a pity that you can't take them. Only I can. The young girl glanced at Lu Ming and laughed heartily. She was extremely pleased with herself. Then, the girl formed a seal and began to collect the beast souls. Soon, the girl put away the beast soul of the giant snake. At this moment, a bird-type beast soul with flames all over its body appeared. It screeched continuously and danced in the air. However, the altar seemed to have a force that restrained them, making it difficult for them to escape. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. This was because he felt that the demon-subduing spear in the Supreme Shrine was buzzing and vibrating, as if it was particularly excited. Don't tell me. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. With a thought, the demon-subduing spear appeared in his hands. The moment the demon-subduing spear appeared, it trembled violently and flew out with a whoosh. The spear emitted a bright light that enveloped the two beast souls. OWW. Gah. With two roars, the two beast souls turned into two beams of light and were absorbed by the demon-subduing spear. Then, the demon-subduing spear flew back to Lu Ming's hand. Not far away, the beautiful girl was dumbfounded. She opened her cherry-like mouth and stared at the altar with her big, watery eyes. Then, she stared at Lu Ming. To be more precise, she stared at the demon-subduing spear in Lu Ming's hand. After a long while, she let out an earth-shattering scream. Demon-subduing spear, how did you get a demon-subduing spear? The young girl shouted in disbelief. Buzz. At this moment, the altar trembled violently. It was 10 times, dozens of times stronger than before. Thump thump. A rumbling sound came from the altar, as if some great demon was about to step out. Boom. With a violent vibration, a giant Silivera wolf rushed out of the altar. The giant wolf was covered in Silivera white fur that flickered with a crystal-like luster. It stood in the air, and its height was 5 meters and its length was more than 10 meters. OWW. And NBSB, the giant Silivera wolf appeared and howled at the sky, releasing an unbelievably powerful pressure. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. It was as if he had been hit by a huge mountain. He retreated a few steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. The young girl was not much better off. She was also retreating, her face pale. Terrifying, it's too terrifying. What level is this beast soul of? It's only a beast soul, but it can emit such a terrifying pressure. How powerful must it have been when it was alive? Lu Ming looked at the Silivera wolf beast soul in the air, shocked beyond words. Beast King, this is the soul of the Beast King, haha. The girl laughed and quickly formed a seal with her hands. A black light enveloped the Silivera wolf. Buzz. At this moment, the demon-subduing spear trembled violently and also emitted a ray of light that shot toward the giant Silivera wolf. OWW. The giant Silivera wolf howled at the sky. However, he was only a beast soul, not a physical body. His aura was powerful, but he did not have much combat power. Kid, what are you doing? Why aren't you putting away your demon-subduing spear? The young girl shrieked. Put it away. Why should I keep it? Didn't you say I can't accept it? Lu Ming sneered. You. Detestable. The young girl was helpless. She could only frantically form hand seals and snatch the beast soul from the demon-subduing spear. The two rays of light covered the giant Silivera wolf soul and started to tear it apart. Buzz. In the end, the soul of the giant Silivera wolf actually split into two. Half was taken away by the girl, and the other half was taken away by the demon-subduing spear. Buzz. The demon-subduing spear flew back into Lu Ming's hands. You actually stole half of my Beast King soul. Return it to me. The young girl glared at Lu Ming fiercely. I won't. Lu Ming refused decisively and kept the demon-subduing spear. Beast King soul, this is a Beast King soul. With your current cultivation and physical strength, you can't use it at all. You should return it to me. The young girl glared at Lu Ming resentfully. Her large eyes were misty as if she was about to cry. She looked very pitiful. I won't. Lu Ming was unmoved and firmly refused. What a joke. This was the soul of a Beast King, and it had been preserved by the Dongi tribe with a secret technique. Even the outside world couldn't buy it. It was so precious that it was impossible to return it. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,